and that's November the 10th. And he's been out there for like 50 years with the
At the moment,
Demonical.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he believes that the land of Israel is the land of Israel, but he believes that the land of Jerusalem is in Telerad in the south, in the desert, and that's the true location of Mount Zion and also Jerusalem. And so my stance is that no, he's incorrect, and that the true promised land is in the land is in sub-Saharan Africa, and that's the debate on November the 10th. That's at 12 o'clock USA Eastern Standard Time. Uh,
Okay.
as long as he's going to be there, hopefully he won't have any issues because in Israel they're fighting, they're dropping bombs, and
Yeah.
hopefully this doesn't affect where he's at for the debate to happen.
These platforms, what platform is the first one going to be on with the deacon?
It's all going to be on initially Zoom because I'm you know and on the jaw and the sockets of the eye and the nose that that resemble the Neanderthals, but also had components of Homo sapiens, modern human beings. And so they knew that they were mixing with Homo sapiens. They were having children with each other inside the caves and outside the caves. And when you look at Seir the Horite, it's interesting because Seir the Horite, or the land of the Horites, the main guy we hear about first about the Horites is Seir the Horite. And Seir means hairy. It means hairy. It means devil. It means demon, and it means shaggy. And then Kor or Hor means a cave or a hole in a rock or a den. And so the very word Seir the Horite means in Hebrew hairy, shaggy cave dweller. And this is one of the people that we don't see in Genesis 10 as who's the lineage of the Horites. Is it Shem? Is it Japhet? Is it Ham? And it's not there. It's not there at all. So you're wondering, well Esau left the land of Canaan because supposedly the land was beginning to be too small for both of them and their livestock. At least is what the Bible says. And then Esau left and went far away from his brother to the land of the Horites. And there he sort of dispossessed the Horites, but he also intermixed with the Horites and had children. Later, one of those children will be Amalek. And Amalek was, was some of the people that fought against the Israelites supposedly in the Bible. But one of the things that I look at is that when they did a lot of the ancient studies in Israel, the DNA of the skeletons, they didn't see our DNA. They didn't see the DNA of any mixed multitude of people that would have left with Moses. Meaning that if there were people living in the camps in Egypt, and they were Egyptians, they were Cushites, they had women and men, and they were intermarrying with each other, having children. So now you got people that are half Egyptian, half Israelite, half Cushite, half Israelite, half Canaanite, half Israelite, because one of the parents might be an Israelite, one of the parents might be a Canaanite or a Cushite or Egyptian. All of these women of Ham and men of Ham, they have DNA. They have DNA you can test, you can track it, you can prove where it is indigenous to. But you don't see these DNA haplogroups on the route of migration to modern day Israel, like through the Sinai Peninsula or the Saudi Arabia or Jordan and into Israel. You don't see the DNA there. And the question is, we know that people lived and they died when they were in the Exodus. And we know people lived in modern day, or lived in so-called Israel for hundreds to thousands of years, and they died in Israel. And when they died in Israel, either they're going to be buried in caves like Abraham in the patriarchs, or they're going to be just below the earth. So we have to look at these things to ask ourselves, if the Exodus story really happened that way to northeast Israel, why is it that the DNA of of our people and also other Hamitic nations, like the daughters of Canaan, the daughters of Mitzrayim, or Egypt, the daughters of Cush. How come it's not there? And why do pretty much all the sub-Saharan African tribes, they always say that they left Egypt and they migrated south along the Nile River? And they usually say that they left with a leader, and the leader had a magic rod, he had a magic staff, he had a magic stick, and he was able to perform miracles with it. And they crossed a body of water on their way to get to where they settled permanently. And this is all across the board, from West Africa to East Africa to Central Africa and to South Africa.
Ron, let me ask you this though. So, I'm grasping that. What I'm trying to wrap my head around is the artifacts that's right there immediately in Israel, the historical buildings and the artifacts of that. Because I see your argument with the animals, all that, and the DNA. But I'm thinking this is our perspective. We're seeing this as maybe it's way further than what we think as far as the land mass. So this is why specifically I'm asking, are you saying in that particular area of Israel, period, none of that, even the historical land mass, none of that is originally the promised land of Israel?
No, here's the thing. Okay. Most of the artifacts, like the Nebuchadnezzar cylinder, like the Cyprus cylinder, like the Pontius Pilate stone, like the Lachish release, the Moabite stone, the Amarna tablets. I can just go down the list. All these archaeological finds that they found carved on rock. If you look at it, you'll say, okay, when did they find these things? In the 1800s, when they were exploring into Africa, they were colonizing Africa. And where are they at now? Because they found it in the late 1800s, but where are they at now? They're in a museum. Either they're a museum in Iran, a museum in Iraq, a museum in Egypt, a museum in Britain, a museum in Israel. So how did they get from point A to point B? It's because the white man so-called found it and he took it there. So it means that he was able to transport it with some kind of way to do it from one place to another. And you got to ask yourself, when he got to the scene, how do we know with the relics that he found that he actually found it where he say he found it? Because now it's in the museum now. How did it get to the museum? They got it to the museum. And when you look at
100 and something, that's the birth of archaeology. Isn't that when the birth of, I'm too slow to follow some of this stuff here, but I'm trying, y'all help me.
Look at these things, you have to ask yourself, I can easily say I found some mummies of Egyptian pharaohs, and I got the tomb, and I got their scepter, and I say, well, now they say, Ryan, you found it in Ohio, but where's it at now? Oh, it's in my museum in Detroit. Oh, okay, so that you mean you tell me that the ancient Egyptians had kingdoms and they lived in Ohio? And I say yes, because I found these artifacts in Ohio, but now they're in my museum in Detroit. So who's gonna question the person?
What mummies do they found that was pseudo, that they lied? What scholarship? Y'all got it. I don't know anything. I know Piltdown Man was a fraud and found out to be a fraud because of scholarship. I really don't understand. I'm trying my best in my slow mind as a simple, dirty, filthy Gentile, a low Negro African. I'm trying to understand it. I don't understand some of this stuff.
Person that found it and then also moved it, and now he has a museum that states this is where I found it at. And this is the whole thing with the Gentiles, is that most of the history we have in terms of if you look at the fall of the second temple, you see that the only person that reports the fall of the second temple and kind of gives you like a play-by-play analysis, like he was right there at the time, with a video camera, is Josephus Flavius.
Right.
If you read his books, the Antiquities, War of the Jews,
Yes.
he is the only person only Gentile historian that is giving you a play-by-play.
Oh, Josephus is a Gentile.
A storyline of everything that happened. And you gotta ask yourself, well, how? Well, Joseph was he there? Like, was he there with like a pen and a paper or ink and animal skins? Did he remember all this from the top of his head and just say, "Okay, remember"?
They didn't write during the time of Josephus. Writing wasn't already in existence for hundreds of years. That's what papyrologists are teaching. When did people start recording things? I thought y'all had scriptures. I thought prophets wrote hundreds of years before Josephus was born. I thought cuneiform was here on the planet. I thought Greek was already on the planet as an alphabet, as a writing system.
Remember everything that happened for 50 years before I die. I'm gonna write it all down. Was he? I mean, because these are things that people have to start to.
Did Josephus descend from a people that already had an oral tradition, and he told stories that he heard, that they heard about a creation and a man named Moses?
Question, but one of the things I like to say is that if we are talking about the land of Canaan, then we have to be specific and identify this land, because we know that the ancient Egyptians got their portion, their land, upper and lower Egypt. We know the descendants of Cush got their land in Sudan. We know that the descendants of Put got their land in Libya. We know that the descendants of Medes Persia or Madai, and the descendants of Ashur and Arphaxad, they got their land. And we have to look at these things. Okay, the Babylonians live here in Iraq. If the Persians live here in modern day Iran, if the Syrians or Armenians live here in modern day Syria, and we say, well, okay, what about Elam? Okay, well, the Elamites live right here in between Iraq and Iran. They had their own territory. They had their own land. That was not the land of Canaan. The land of Canaan was not Egypt. The land of Canaan was not Put or Libya. The land of Canaan was not Cush or Sudan. So then where is the land of Canaan? Because the Bible says that the Most High will give us the whole land of Canaan, the whole land of Canaan. But we don't like to address that question because we don't want to be caught in a lie, or what they think is the truth, but a lie that they can't explain. So what people usually do is that they say, okay, well, let's talk about from the Nile to the Euphrates. Okay, we're talking about Nile to the Euphrates that promised to Abraham and his descendants. Abraham had more descendants than just Israel. But again, where is the land of Canaan? I'm not talking about the land that is the land of the Babylonians, the land of the Assyrians, the land of the Arameans, the land of the Elamite and the Elamite kings, the land of the Egyptians, the land of the Cushites. We have to be specific. The Israelites did not spend hard labor and slavery in the land of Canaan. It was in the land of Egypt. Nobody says that Egypt was the land of Canaan or the land of Cush was also the land of Canaan, because if that's the case, then how could we leave the land of Egypt and go into the land of Canaan when Egypt is Canaan? Because the Nile River cuts through Egypt, the Nile River cuts through Sudan. So you mean to tell me that half the land of Egypt is Canaan, the other half is Egypt, half the land of Sudan is Canaan, the other half is Cush, and the half the land of Babylon or the Babylonians is Canaan, the other half is Babylonians. So when do we draw the line? Because when you look at that whole greater Israel landmark, you'll see that if you encompass the Euphrates River all the way to the Nile, you're basically covering Saudi Arabia, Jordan, you're covering Lebanon, Palestine, Israel, Syria, Babylon, Egypt, Cush, and even Turkey, parts of Turkey, because the Euphrates River starts in Turkey. So now we're talking about another nation now that, oh, this is all the land of Canaan. No, the land of Canaan is specific. People don't want to stay on point with where is the land of Canaan, because that is the land that we inhabited, and we divided the land amongst the 12 tribes. Because nobody can tell you the tribe of Judah territory in Simeon is in Egypt or in Sudan, or the tribe of Naphtali and Dan and Ephraim Manasseh is in Babylon, it's in Iraq. They're not going to tell you that. They're not going to say, or the tribe of Benjamin and Levi is in Turkey. Nobody has a map today that has the 12 tribes territories from Euphrates to the Nile. Nobody has it. All the 12 tribes territory maps are currently in the modern day state of Israel landmass that we see today.
Wow, praises. All right, Ron. So I got one more, and I'm gonna turn it over to my brother Yashia. You had mentioned the Portuguese confiscating some Hebrew, and I just wanted to know if did you have any sources of that? I believe that was in the mountains of Congo that you were speaking about. Did you have any sources of that? Because we studied the Portuguese a lot of the slave trades, and I was just curious because I didn't see it in the video in volume 1 of that, actually the source of them actually in that time period. Do you have anything that we can research on that?
Okay, so we have to understand that when the Portuguese came into Africa, they stole a lot of things, just like the British stole a lot of things in Africa. And if they're going to steal a lot of things that are of religious significance, pointing to the Congo being a place that was a territory of the Israelites, the Portuguese are not going to write this stuff down. They're not going to go into the Congo and say that we saw a temple there and we saw a place that they said the Ark of the Covenant was in there, and they're going to write this stuff down because they don't want you to know that it even existed. And the African people in sub-Saharan Africa, we have to understand that they didn't have just collections of books and libraries that they had all these ancient writings in. And so when we go into Africa and we want to know about the history of Africa, the majority of the time they're going to give you their oral history, and the oral history is from the elders and the kings and the priests and the storytellers. They're not going to have a library and say, go to this village and just go to the library and look it up. Because most of the history we have today when it comes to Africa, if it's not orally told by the Bantu people, the history is written down by the Gentiles. And this is how they've always done the histories of their explorations into the Congo, into Angola, into East Africa, into West Africa. They're always the one writing down what they found when they explored the land. But the things that are of really high religious significance, they're not going to release these sources or jot this stuff down because they don't want you to know that it even exists. And so the people that live there, that are from there, and they have the elders and the storytellers' history, they will say that according to our elders and our storytellers, that when the Portuguese came here to this land, this is what they found and this is what they took. Even down to the point of how the Congo elders say that they found the Ark of the Covenant in the Congo. And inside the Ark of the Covenant was three things. And when the Catholic Church and their missionaries and later the soldiers, or whatever you want to call it, when they started to come into the Congo to do more investigation and Christianizing the Congo people, and also looting and instituting slavery, it was around this period of slavery, looting, and colonization of the Congo Empire that the whereabouts and the history of the Ark of the Covenant in the Congo disappeared. So prior to the white man,
I thought when the Ark of the Covenant, what the? Hey, yo. The Ark of the Covenant was around fervent charity with Jesus and John the Baptist, or it already left the scene? I promise y'all can't just tell me anything. I don't accept anything from the pastors and them. Y'all just nobody can just come and tell me anything. I'm in such darkness. The Most High don't want me to see. I don't see none of this. None of what he's saying, I don't see none of it. I got to accept it. At least the brother asking questions because he heard something. He's trying to see if there's some proof primary or what took him in research. This is babble. I might as well walk up this is tongues to me. That's just me.
As a rival into the Congo, they knew where the Ark of the Covenant was, and they talked about it. But after the Europeans came in and they started to enslave the Congo people, they started to Christianize them and insert their Christianized culture into the Congo. They divided up the land. They had the Portuguese and the Belgians claiming their territory, and then the French. This is
now. Wait a minute. In Israel, the realness said the ark was gone since Babylon. So when Jesus and Paul and James and them was on the scene, when Jesus was a baby, there was already no talk of the Ark of the Covenant anywhere in Jerusalem. Now, we understand the Ethiopian tradition and later on the glory of the kings of Ethiopia, but boy, y'all doing a number on me. Y'all just giving me, y'all just want me to take anything. Y'all just got me accepting anything. I never thought black people did this nonsense.
That's how they started to change and erase the history that the Congo people had for hundreds of years that they knew from the elders and the storytellers. But once the dominating Gentile nations came in, then they started to change a lot of these things so that you only can remember these things by talking to some of the.
So the Bantu people said that they had the Ark of the Covenant? Let me be quiet and let him lay down what he laying down.
The elders and the historians and the storytellers. This is why a lot of the people that are currently in Africa right now that are my age and younger, they don't even know that they're Israelites. They don't even know many of the oral history stories that the elders know that ties them back to the ancient Israelites and how they left Egypt. They just know that in some of the traditions and customs that they keep, when you remind them of the fact that these things you are doing are in the Bible, in the Torah, then they start to say, oh yeah. Well, we did have a history of our elders telling us that we were descendants of the Israelites, and this is going from people in Eritrea, in Ethiopia, in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Togo, in Congo, in Rwanda, Burundi, down to South Africa. They know and heard that they were the Israelites. They know that the traditions and customs are pretty much kind of standard across the board in terms of the Bantu people, but they don't understand their connection to the ancient Israelites unless you kind of talk to them and show them in the Bible how what you're doing is in the scripture. And this is how you know that the Europeans came in and they started to erase the heritage of the Israelites. They may not have erased their language or their traditions and customs, but they did erase a lot of the things in regards to history that wasn't written down by the black people that was in that land.
All right. Yashia, I'm going to turn the floor over to you with your questions. And hopefully I can squeeze this last one in at the end. I want to try to give everybody some time. So, Yashia, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Shalom, Ron.
So
Long time coming, brother. So I get what you're saying. I don't even have to come behind him with any questions dealing with that. I'm just gonna wait until you do your presentation. I'm not even on the fence. I'm just trying to get a little bit more clarity about the parameters of the promised land. That's about it with me. I agree with the Africa presence all the way. I've been saying this for a while, but you laid it out, and so I'm just gonna wait on your presentation for that so I can better understand the parameters, because I was explaining to Barry Watt that you over there. I said, as soon as he went over there, I said, hey, Barry Watt, something getting ready to happen, man. Ron is over there. He done relocated. It's some stuff getting ready to come out. I told him this about what was it?
Yeah.
About 18 months, 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, about a couple years ago when he first moved. Yeah, yeah.
And I
He
said,
did say
so
that.
this has now we can just research what he put out, because we don't have to go behind him with it. You know, he's gonna do a good job, actually a great job. I got some questions about a few questions about some things in the books. It's just some it'll be real simple. Here's the big one that I had, and I don't know if it's page 82 of the first book, Hebrews to Negroes. It was stated on page 82 that Jasher was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and that there was a it was a Dead Sea Scroll manuscript that exists of Genesis 4:1, which stated about Eve.
The book of Jasher was found among the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's what he's asking him about now.
Eve and Samael having some type of carnal relationship, and I was just trying to make sure that I was looking at that right. If it was,
Yeah, so the book of Jubilees was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. The book of Jasher is all Greek. It's all a Greek translation. Nobody has the original book of Jasher written in ancient Hebrew that was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Let's see if he break down why and what the theories are among the. Let's see if he break down why.
So most of the translations of the Dead Sea Scrolls, or the translation of the book of Jasher, is from a Gentile perspective in what they wrote in there, including there's a storyline in there that I think I don't know if it was Zepho. Yeah, it was Zepho, the Edomite. He went to a cave, and in the cave he fought a monster that was half human, like the upper body was human, the lower body was like an animal. So it's almost like in the book of Jasher, the Zepho fought a minotaur. And we know a minotaur is a Greek folklore, half animal, half man. But this Greek folklore figure is in the book of Jasher. And Zepho fights this thing and he kills it. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, there's no such thing as a half man, half horse figure in the world today. I mean, if it is, I need to see a skeleton or something to really prove that it exists. But you know, there's a lot of Greek elements in the book of Jasher, even though it is mentioned in the Bible. But in terms of that storyline, some African tribes believe that there were two women, and out of one of the women, I think her name was, they may say her name was Lilith, that came another seed, like an evil seed. And sometimes when we look at the Bible and it tells of the eating of the apple and the serpent beguiling a woman, that some people might equate that the seed of Cain.
He messing up saying apple. No, scholars ain't calling it an apple. No, real Bible. We gotta be careful now. We gotta be careful. Maybe he's slipping up and thinking about Sunday school. Nobody call that thing an apple. Nobody that know the Bible. Nobody that know the Bible call that thing an apple. Maybe a simple Christian, a Christian by name only Christian, but nobody ain't gonna call that thing no apple. Especially if you claim in Israel, only nobody in here that's Israel ever say that thing that woman bit was an apple.
Was either marked because of something that that he did, obviously, or the seed of Cain was tampered with genetically by Satan and his fallen angels. And because the seed of Cain was tampered with and marked, he was not a pure human being, and therefore only pure, untempered human beings like the seed of Seth and Noah could be able to survive on the flood, on the boat.
Serpent seed doctor, somebody get Leo and them in here to fix this. Oh God, I can't.
And then had their children populate the earth. Although we know that in the Old Testament that giants existed after the flood. and these were, you know, six-fingered, six-toed giants that were mighty, you know, mighty men, you know, not normal human beings. And we do see that after the flood, according to archaeological, you know, testing and finding, that the Homo Neanderthal man existed, and he was a different.
After the flood, Homo Neanderthal, yeah, this beef. What year Ron Dalton got the flood from? Oh, school don't make no difference. I forgot that the education don't make no difference. Do y'all got a date for the flood and Neanderthal and these words he's using and some timelines?
Species of human beings than the majority of the people in the whole world today, aside from people like Europeans and Caucasians and Jews that have anywhere from 5% to 20% Neanderthal DNA in their genome. So a lot of people believe, and even there's I think some mentioned in either the Talmud or some kind of Jewish work, that there was a tampering of, or genetic tampering of, the seed of Satan and of Cain and his lineage. And this is why they have this, you know, seed of Cain, the seed of the wicked one. And there's going to be a constant battle between, you know, the seed that Christ came through Seth, through Noah, through Shem, through Abraham, through, you know, Judah and David, still to the end with the seed of the serpent, or the seed of the wicked one. So these are all kind of things that people might consider to be biblical folklore, and, you know, none of us can actually. I guess it'd be hard to prove if there's a true serpent seed with modern scientific, you know, testing, other than the fact that, you know, maybe there's some characteristics that the seed of Cain will have on them that they will continue forever. But you know, these are all things that I look at, especially with the seed of Amalek. Amalek was half Horite, half Edomite,
Right.
and we don't know who the Horites were. Were they pre-flood man that survived the flood? Were they descendants of Cain? Were they a hybrid human being? Not necessarily a Nephilim or a giant, but they were a tempered race that the fallen angels genetically manipulated God's creation. And here we have the Neanderthal man that has blue eyes and blonde hair and red hair, and he's hairy and he lives in caves, and he has a different structure, skeletal structure of the skull, and the skeleton is different than a regular human being. So these are all things that you know, sometimes we want to try to explain biblically, but sometimes we can't always explain it when looking at reality in real life.
Great.
I think some people may have to put the Genesis 6 down if you want to argue that you're Israel. And historically, and if identity's been stolen, I think people may have to leave the Genesis 6 thing down if they want to argue, you know, these are separate race of people, Europeans and all of this, because I think that's going to complicate it. Folk ain't going to make it this way. Now the folk going to take them seriously.
Wow. Okay. And so I got another question out of the book, then a few more little questions. Page 187, the first book, Hebrews to Negroes. You made mention of the Zagwe or the Zagwe dynasty. And so that had me up all night. Oh my God. It was enticing, let's say. And so I was just wondering if you can refer us to a source or to go dig into it a little more. Are you going to come out with some more information on it?
They asking for sources.
It was real captivating.
You talking about the Zagwe dynasty in Ethiopia, or
yes?
Oh man,
that had him up all night now. So apparently he's been looking, trying to find out more about this dynasty. Let me hear this here.
Well, such a long time ago. Well, you have in Ethiopia, they had different dynasties and kingdoms that had their own time where they ruled in power. But ultimately, many of these dynasties, like the the Zagwe dynasty and the kingdom of Aksum, you know, even getting closer to you know, the time of the Ethiopian Jews, you know, they all claim a Shemitic origin, not a primarily Cushitic origin. And still to this day, you will see that there's Ethiopians that speak a Shemitic language, and there's Ethiopians that
Is it the same Ethiopia that we know? Let me hear him.
the linguistic experts will say that they speak a Hamitic or a Cushitic language. So that's how we know that in Ethiopia, there were people that were Shemitic that lived and migrated to that area, and they lived amongst the other Hamitic tribes. And it just so happens that the Zagwe dynasty is one of the few dynasties that is connected to, you know, the history of what we will look at today as the people that today speak the Amharic language and the Ethiopian Ge'ez language, you know, the Ethiopian Jews and the Orthodox Church speak. But that was like 10 years ago that I wrote that book and published it. So a lot of things in there, I had to reread it just to refresh my memory on what I actually talked about in the book.
Well, it was some allegations that they somehow were exiled and that they ended up in the Caribbean, and I was just wondering, and we can do that part later on. I was just wanted to get familiarized with it before, you know, because it was very interesting. And so I'm gonna give you another question. It was on page 76. It stated that the Apostle Mark was a Libyan Jew. So I was just basically source.
Yeah, so during that time, they believe, because in those days they had different names for, you know, Libya.
Odin, who got Odin book on Mark and the tradition of Mark?
But they had cities, and in those cities were attached to the territory that you would call modern day Libya. But we know that the term Libyan Jew is, you know, this is a term because Libya is connected to Ham's son Cush. So we know that Mark was an Israelite, but he may have lived and dwelled in that region.
Which brother is JP? Y'all know I have it, but the physical copy. Okay. Deacon Zakari is supposed to debate the rabbi tonight. Eduardo on JP Uncut. Which one is JP Uncut? Y'all know I'm getting older. Somebody mentioned JP on Alton channel. I just can't place the name with the face right now. You know, my mind get cloudy sometimes.
Of North Africa, where you have Libya and then Egypt right next door. And because many people believe that the churches over there were some of the first churches that started Christianity, like the Church of Alexandria in Egypt, you had the Ethiopian church, but many people believe also that, you know, out of that area, Northeast Africa, the apostle or disciple Mark was influential in spreading Christianity in that region.
Okay, good. That explains that. So we got a question about this one. This one's kind of page 347. It states that Jacob and Esau were fraternal twins and not identical.
Yeah, so usually identical twins look exactly the same. And
Right.
we know that Jacob and Esau, they have certain characteristics about them that, you know, we sort of look at the Bible, ruddy, hairy, you know, like Esau, you know, when their father couldn't see that well, he could just feel, and if you felt, you know, a hairy coat or hairy garment, then he's like, oh, this is Esau. You know, that so Jacob was different in characteristics than Esau, and if Esau was described as a different maybe shade of brown than Jacob, then we would assume that they were identical twins, because identical twins look exactly alike. That's just, in the book, those are just technicalities, whether they were identical or fraternal. We do know that two nations or two men or boy childs were in the womb at that time. And technically, when you have two boys, two girls, a boy and a girl inside the womb, and the woman has a baby, then those babies are considered twins, whether they're fraternal, they're identical, or not. But we do know, one thing we can't say for sure is that they were twins, but we don't necessarily. I guess we can't necessarily prove it, because we wasn't back then in those times to get a picture of both of them to see, do they look the same? Are they identical in appearance, or are they not identical? So you can have fraternal twins that are boy and girl. They don't look nothing alike, obviously. Or you can have two boys and they don't look alike. And so in that case, they would be fraternal, but they will still be twins.
Okay. Oh, and so Ron, just so you know, I'm fine with oral testimony. If like from over there where you at, because you're over there, and they have retained an awful lot of history in Africa, and I would be willing to say more ancient history than anybody on the planet. So I'm fine with oral history and all of that. But I got this was going to tidy me up. It's just a few questions about a few different tribes over there that I've read about in the past, years and years ago, that have stated that they were Hebrew Israelites, or they were the children of Israel. And you had a great deal of tribes in your writings that I didn't even know was connected to us. So that's why I appreciate your work so much, because it gives us something to research and study. And I found out that just like
so coming up on this live right now, if anybody's seen it, Ron is getting ready to do a presentation with slides in front of the brothers.
everything you said was on point to studying it.
Oh.
The Tutsi is one group. I'm just gonna name a few, and then you can just like sum it up. It's because it's a lot. Let me look. The Idak Sahak of Mali. Let me see. Then you got the Mahdi tribe in South Sudan. Kafir, Congo, Bo, Kribo. It's the Bamaliki and the Nande in Cameroon. And I want to move around a little bit. It's some people over in the Senegambia area. I think it's the Silla and the Drami people. Now, the question is, I just want to ask this question. Has any genetic testing been done on any of these people, or to link them to us genetically? And are they?
Yes.
Now that's a good question. That's a good question right there.
Oh, go ahead.
Are they? Because I know that the Syrian drama people, they have converted religiously to the Muslim teaching. That's not going to change genetically where they come from. Well, I'm just wondering, are they even aware? Because I know you made mention that it's a lot of people over there that are not aware because of certain extenuating circumstances. But are these people that converted to Islam, the Syrian and the Drama tribe in Senegambia, two of the tribes, are they even aware that they ancient descent is ancient Israel?
Well, you have to spell those tribes.
So it's more people over there, and they think they Africans, but they really Israelite. Like they forgot who they are too. This thing deeper than I thought.
In synagogue game because I'm not familiar with those with the name, but if you could spell it, so I can get an idea.
You want me to put it in the chat or just say it live to you?
No, go ahead. You can read it. You can say it to me.
SYLLA.
Hold on. Let me see. SYLLA.
And DRAME.
Is that all one word?
No, it's two different groups. Silla is one tribe, and Drama is one group.
Okay, Drama. How you spell the one with a D?
DRAME.
In Senegal?
Yeah, they're in the Senegal area. They migrated. You got a detailed history of their migration, where they came from, and where they ended up in that area. It was there. It was near some river. It may have even been the Niger River. It could have been. Just a question. It's like a 10-year question, right?
Those tribes I'm not familiar with those. And when I look at the spelling, it doesn't give me anything about Senegal.
Is it in the book, Yashia?
Yeah. So,
you mean the Soninke? Okay, so yeah.
No, not the Soninke, Ron. They ain't paid this.
Yeah, the Sila is a branch of the Soninke.
Okay.
The Sila, Sylla, they're a branch of the Soninke, and the Soninke is like basically the same thing as Mandinka tribe in that area. And yeah, the DNA testing has shown to be E1B1A, and the DNA people may not like to hear and hear me say this, but the tribe of the Tutsis, there's been DNA studies of the Tutsis, and yes, they do have E1B1A, they have B2B, they have E2B or EM75. They also have E1B1B, but the large majority of the Tutsis do have the Bantu DNA E1B1A. It's a known fact. People, they can look different because they're taller, they got slender skulls, but they do have a percentage of the people that do have the same DNA haplogroup as the Hutus or people in the Congo or Tanzania or Kenya or Nigeria. Yeah, and the Mahdi people in South Sudan are a group of people that still exist in Sudan and in other surrounding countries, just like there are people that are in Ethiopia and Eritrea that are Bantu in terms of their DNA, E1B1A. And therefore, if we are calling ourselves Israelites and we have the DNA E1B1A, then they too are Israelites because they have the same DNA as us. So we can't say that Igbos have E1B1A and they're Israelites, and then you have another person in Sudan or in Rwanda and they got E1B1A too, a lot of them, and they're not Israelites because that would make no sense to say that. Genetically, they are connected to the ancient Israelites, whether we like it or not, and whether their appearance looks different than a regular so-called Negro.
Totally agree. I agree with that 100%. Let me see. I'll reserve. I'll wait till the end and give the Wild or Collab. Let's see if they have anything for you. You answered everything that I asked with sufficient exactness so far. Thank you. And if I got anything else at the end of it.
See that the 4 or 5 questions that he asked, he's satisfied with the way Ron answered him.
Time I'll try something else. You gotta utilize that computer brain you got while we got you here. I know you get busy.
and real quick, Kalab, before you go, y'all. I mean, if you do,
that computer brain forgot a couple of sources from his own book from 9 years ago, but I will keep going.
Get some of that information. You can always email it to me, man. And when you got time, I know you'll be busy. That is a 10-year-old book, and right now to go off the top of your head. But if you could, because we are looking into that, because we want to in the future be able to match our DNA with some of the tribes over there to see, what type of tribe we might come from. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. Kalab, you got any questions? Your mic muted, Kalab.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I got just a couple small questions for you, Ron. Nice seeing you again. I saw you down in when you did the presentation down in Florida. I got a little bit of information from some of the other brothers. I was in contact with Calvin, the brother in Gambia. So I thank you for that too. I got the information for you for that too. So I got just a couple questions, and 1 or 2 questions from other people, and my wife had a question as well, which she said hello to as well. She was down there with me. So when you talk about the Bantu people, I just want a better breakdown of who they consist of. Is that the same as the Igbo? Do they fit in there? And what other tribes may fit into the Bantu brush, so to speak?
Yeah, so the majority of all the people that are using the term Bantu in East, South, and Central Africa, they all have the same Y DNA, E1B1A. They all say they left the North, or they left Egypt, and they migrated down to where they are today. West Africans are not going to use that term Bantu, but they still have the same DNA as the Bantu people. So essentially, the Bantu people, according to the East African, East African, South, and Central, they left Egypt and migrated south to where they are today. The word Bantu, this means people, or the people of Yah or God. If you ask a Bantu person, that kind of knows this, the etymology of the word Bantu and who they are. But essentially, that's just a term that is used a lot in terms of talking about in a group of people that live in sub-Saharan Africa, but they're also related directly to people in West Africa, like the Igbos, the Yorubas, the Bini, Edo people, the Fan, the Ewe, the Akan, the Ashanti, the Fante, the Gadangme, and going all the way from the Timne to the Kru to the Creole to the Capelle to the Soso to the Mandinka, the Mande, and all these other tribes like the Drum, like the Sila and the other Drame tribes that are a branch or a clan of the Soninke Mandinka tribe in Senegal, Gambia. So they all have E1B1A. Even the Mossi tribe that's in Burkina Faso, regardless of their religious affiliation with Islam or Christianity, the Bantu people, majority of them all are going to share the same Y DNA haplogroup E1B1A, which is the most common haplogroup that we see in the Caribbean and in African Americans and Afro Latinos in South America.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right, one other question I had was in terms of, and I know because you're over there in the land, in terms of scripture and Bibles, do you subscribe to the other Bibles? How often do you rely on them? And even over there in the land, do they what Bibles are they using over there? I know they got the older Bibles. And have you ever even seen or read or used the older Bibles, like the Codex Bibles, like this Codex Sinaiticus and
are those
Sinaiticus,
Bibles?
Alexandrius, and all these different Codex Bibles? And your thought?
I got to go back. Father God.
Thoughts on the Ethiopian Bible? Reason I asked that because I'm trying to delve more into the Ethiopian Bible a little bit more myself, and not just rely so heavily upon just the KJV. I know the other Bibles are older, and have the other books in them. So if you just a little bit on that, on your Bible preference and different things like that.
What's the brother name? The tall brother in the Nation of Islam just got married, got a heavy YouTube channel. Somebody asked him about the Bible. He said, well, which Bible, which Christianity, which Bible you reading from? And he talked about Tinsdale. What's that brother? Rizzo? What's that brother name? Coverdale Bible. The Coverdale Bible don't speak on the resurrection. When they mention it, when that brother mentioned, I gotta show y'all some stuff because there's a little bit of stuff we gotta fix running around here that's just not a good look.
Well, in Africa, they are using the King James book version. They're using the Mormon Bible for those that are in the Mormon Church. They're using the Seventh-day Adventist Bible. They're using.
What's the name of the Seventh-day Adventist Bible? What's the name of the Seventh-day Adventist Bible?
Using different Christian Bibles, and in most cases they're in English, and so they're under the same stronghold that we are, and that the Bible that they read is going to have the same translations. It's going to have the Red Sea. It's going to have the unicorn. It's going to have, different things that when you read it, it appears to be a white book, and you don't see yourself in the book because a lot of the things in the Bible have been reworded. And
all these English translations are white books. What's the name of the Seventh-day Adventist Bible, y'all? Don't do this, y'all. What's the name of it?
Authorized and translated so that you can't really connect it to you. These ancient Greek words that mean giraffe and other animals, rhinoceros, is not there no more. It's been changed by the Catholic Church to unicorn and antelope and stag, and it's different animals now are appearing in the Bible that didn't appear in the Greek Septuagint. So in the Greek, of course, the New Testament, a lot of it was, we had a lot of Greek translations that existed before we had the Latin Vulgate, and then eventually Old English and then English Bible. So these are still the Bibles that they use in Africa. The same teachings that you see in America, that the pastors teach, is the same teachings that they give in Africa, that leads Christian Africans to believe that they are not the Israelites, that if anything, they are the Gentiles, or they are the sons of Ham. That's the belief that they get from the teachings of the white and black pastors that are teaching out of these same books that we get taught of in America. And in regards to the Ethiopian Bible, any Ethiopian will tell you that if you're reading an Ethiopian Bible in English, then you may not be reading the correct Ethiopian Bible, because they're saying that it's not a lot of Ethiopian Bibles that were directly translated into English. They're saying that there could be some things changed in it, things that are not exactly what we have.
So the Clear Word is published by Seventh-day Adventists. Wayne Williams, the Clear Word. I can't get a straight answer from these folks.
Have in our Bible. So they said the best way to see what we have in our Bible is to have somebody that has an Ethiopian Bible written in their language, and then have them read the particular scripture or chapter to you in their language, but they'll translate it into English.
Thank you, Truth
And
is
the same thing with the book of Jubilees. They say that our book of Jubilees is authentic and it's written in our language. So it's less error that could have been inserted or into our.
Hey, yo. My man said we ain't gonna make it. We ain't gonna make it. I ain't gonna lie. We ain't gonna make it. Not if black masters in the religion teaching on this level, we ain't finna make it. We not gonna make it out here. I promise y'all. I don't want y'all religion.
Our book, but you guys are looking at, in Book of Jubilees PDF on your Google search, or you guys are looking at the Book of Jubilees from a Greek perspective, and not looking at it from the language that we read it in, and how we can translate it into English. And this is how, one time.
So black Israelites have to translate Jubilee into the Israelite English for us to understand? Father God, don't do this to me. Lord, don't do this to your people. Who's done this thing?
I was talking to an Ethiopian lady, and I asked her in the book of Jubilees, can you describe the land that Canaan got when they cast the lots for their land? And I said, specifically tell me the part in read.
All right, Wayne said the clear word is used in Sabbath classes.
To me, the part where Canaan got his portion, and what are the boundaries and the landmarks of Canaan's portion. And she read it to me in her language and then translated it. And she says, based on what I'm reading, Ron, it appears that the land of Canaan is south of Sudan, south of Egypt, and it extends all the way down to the tip of South Africa, and then it goes west all the way to the Atlantic Ocean in the part where it crosses over to the Western Hemisphere. So that whole area of Africa along the Atlantic Ocean, where you have the upper and lower half of the earth, which is separated by the equator. She said, oh, this whole land, Ron, according to what I'm reading here, is the land of Canaan. And she says it wouldn't make sense because this land described in the Book of Jubilees in my language is the best land of Africa, because the lands that are in the north of Africa are dry, barren, desert lands. These are lands that experience a lot of famine, a lot of dry, arid, hot, desert-like climates, and even going down into the Sahel, part of the Sahel region.
Did they, Rev C, did they publish it? Like New World Translation comes from Watchtower Bible, Jehovah Witnesses, that is their Bible from their publishing house, off of their printing presses, is the clear word of Seventh-day Adventist. Is it off of their printing press?
Is a dry, desert, barren climate area, even going into northern Sudan and parts of northern Ethiopia. So she did say, hey, Ron, this land is the best land. When you really look at it, it's the land that has the most trees and vegetation. It has all types of animals. It has all types of rivers, all types of waterfalls, all types of mountains and hills, volcanic and non-volcanic. And yes, this would make a lot of sense, Ron, now that I'm reading it. So we got to understand that a lot of the things we read in America, even online, is not going to be always accurate when going back to, say, the Semitic Ethiopian versions of their Bible or Book of Jubilees.
Okay, thank you for that. I have another question. This is from somebody else that they wanted me to ask you. Concerning, there's a lot of our brothers and sisters that seem to believe that here in America, because of all the pyramids found and the artifacts and different things, that the land over here is either was the promised land, a lot of them believe that, or somehow very strongly connected in some type of way and how some of the they say like a lot of the pyramids over here are older than the pyramids over there, and different things like that. Do you have any insight on the America aspect of that?
That just shows you how far gone we are to believe that people actually believe that, and that's like, we know that the slave trades existed. We know the white man came into Africa, carved it out. He plundered, looted, spoiled. He oppressed the people, and he enslaved the people. Brought us to America. So how could we
They're
be
going to have to form a council, Dunamis. They're going to have to put they're going to have to put a Hebrew Israelite version out. They're going to have to establish their lore like every other group, including Scientology. Everybody got their book of authority. Everybody got their lore. The Mormon Church, the Nation of Islam, we from the tribe of Shabazz, a big head scientist, Yaqub, Savior, Day, Mustafar, Muhammad. They have to do this. It can't be, the awakening cannot be a grassroots thing if they're going to really, really establish themselves. If they really nation building on another level, it's going to have to, this ain't working. This ain't working.
Taken from the land of Canaan to the land of Canaan. Why would we be taken into captivity to our homeland? If America is the promised land, then if the Israelites' exodus was to whatever promised land that we may think it is, whether it's in Africa or the Middle East, then why would the Gentiles, our enemies, why would they take us to the promised land? Why would they take us to the promised land? To enslave us in the promised land and oppress us in the promised land. So then, if that's the case, then according to the scriptures, then if we're going to come back from the place we were carried away captive, like it says in Jeremiah 29:14, or if the remnant of Israel, the house of Israel, the house of Judah are going to come together, meaning the two sticks are going to unite America, that's Cush, then where are the Cushites today in America? Where are the Egyptians today in America? And where are the Canaanites in America? Come on, they can't answer these questions. They can't.
Right. I agree with you. All right. So this, I think I got just one more, just small question.
Yeah, we want to get the wide in there too right after that, because we got 20 minutes left. I mean, 16 minutes left.
Yeah.
Get Jordan and them. How the two sticks supposed to come together? Or should I say, so there's two sticks, northern and southern, gonna come together. Messiah gonna do it. Jordan, give me Bible. Get these Bible guys in here and let's try to figure this thing out. God bringing it together. This the noise, y'all gonna come together. Then when y'all get it right, then he know y'all got your mind right. Let me come back down here. Let me hear some Bible on this.
Yeah, it is just simple questions. Have you had your I'm pretty sure, well, I'm not, but have you had your DNA done? And if not, do you plan on doing that? And how much do you subscribe to that? And the last question, I'll just give it to you now. I know how they try to suppress your channels and different things a lot. So after you answer the DNA question, if you could just tell us how we can follow you more. I know there's a couple sites that I went to, like Bantu 24, I think it was 24. I can't remember the exact names of them, but there's a couple sites on YouTube and different things where I catch your videos and stuff like that all the time. But how can, besides H2N network, are there any other ways to follow your information on YouTube or any other platform? So that was it.
So okay, yeah. So when I did my African ancestry patriarch clan and mate for clan. And on my dad's side, the certificate said the Akan people living in Ghana. And on my mother's side, it said the Mende people of Sierra Leone. And that's all it gave me. I don't know if I requested the haplogroups like L2, L3, or E1B1A or any of that nature. All I know is that that's what it gave me. And so when you look at the Akan people of Ghana, that's the Ashantis and the Fantis, and you know they're Israelite stock. A lot of the slaves were taken from Ghana to Jamaica, to the Americas, to the Caribbean islands. You know, and likewise Sierra Leone was a hot spot for slavery. But on the website, other than h2ntv.com, I had the Negro Network.com, where I put a lot of the debate details and the links to click on to get the tickets, to register for tickets. Also for the conference I'm doing December the 27th to the 29th in Archdale, North Carolina. We're gonna have the information about that on the website, the Negro Network, and the buttons to register your tickets, just like before, like last year. And then the YouTube channel that I have is really small. It's called Hebrews to Negroes Reborn, like reborn, like resurrection, and that's small channel. I think I have like 3 videos on there. So other than that, I got h2ntv.com, and that's it. I got Instagram,
Right.
Twitter, and TikTok.
All right, while we trying to squeeze you in, go ahead, and then we got one more coming up. Sister Nefertali want to ask you a question too. Go ahead, Dwight.
I want to hear anybody seen the video of Ron Dalton ever doing slides and stuff like that?
I just got one question. Actually, I had 2, but I'm gonna squeeze them in together though. First of all, how you doing, Ron? Glad to finally meet you and get to introduce myself to you. So I was gonna go back to the geographic thing. I had some questions on the geographics. So with the description of the boundaries of the garden in the Bible, and as far as the descriptions of the boundaries of actually the state of actual Israel, the promised land. And then there was another part that the Bantu is a doctor over there. I can't remember his name, where he talks about some of the archaeological things. It was basically going to deal with the Palace of Susa, the hieroglyphs and stuff that you had in some of your books and stuff like that, where it showed the Israelites when we were in captivity and stuff like that. Because I know he was saying it was somewhere, and the actual place was somewhere, I want to say around like Zimbabwe or somewhere down that area, like southeastern Africa or something like that. Around
Talking about Headley? Are you talking about Headley?
Yeah, Robert Headley.
Robert Headley.
Robert Headley, that's his name. But yeah, so I want to know, because I know they said the Susa is basically around Mesopotamia. So yeah, so what was your thoughts on that?
A lot of stuff that Headley says in regards to Africa being the land of Canaan, at least in this sub here in Africa, I can agree with that. But some of the other things that he says were biblical locations of Babylon and of Syria and these other areas, like in being in Africa. I kind of disagree with that. The palace of Susa, or the Iranians, Persians, or the Elamites. You know, that's you know in the region of Mesopotamia in the north. And there's some interesting things that you can find about the Persian kings and some of the gifts that the Israelites, I think, paid tribute to the Persian king, Cyrus and Darius. And what did they give these kings? And I'm gonna sort of cover this in my debate and link it to Africa. I mean, sub-Saharan Africa, and the Garden of Eden in the Book of Jubilees. It says that the Mount Sinai and Mount Zion and the Garden of Eden all face each other, like they're very close to each other in vicinity. And when you look at a lot of the ancient histories of the Bantu people and even the pygmies that are in Central Africa, they all mention the land, well, not the land, but the Garden of Eden, of course, being in Central Africa, or some might say in Tanzania. But then they also, in the same breath, mention that the biblical Mount Sinai and Mount Zion is also in either Central Africa or the African Great Lakes region. And one of the things we know for sure is that the Garden of Eden, you had, of course, you had the river, and then you had the 4 rivers that sprung forth out of the main river, and one of those rivers are the Nile River. And we know the Nile River is concretely in Africa. Nobody can deny that. And we know that the place that has the most biological, diverse biological and ecosystems in the world, or at least that region that the Bible takes place, is in Africa. It's not in Iraq. The Garden of Eden is not in Iraq. It's not in Iran. It's not in Turkey. So when you look at the satellite images of Africa and you see the densely forested or rainforest area that's green in Central Africa or African Great Lakes, then it makes you realize that it has to be an abundance of water in that area. And the source of the Nile River, many say, is in the Congo region, or the Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda region. And in this region where people say the entrance to the Garden of Eden is that's protected and nobody knows where it's at. In the same vicinity and area, they say that you can actually see, depending on where you look, in which direction, you can see Mount Kilimanjaro, you can see Mount Kenya, you can see Mount Uranzori, and you can see the things that would potentially be the biblical Mount Sinai, the biblical Mount Zion, and then the location and area where the Garden of Eden is at, and the rivers that flow out of it. Now, Euphrates and Tigris, and all these other, rivers, these are always a subject of debate and speculation when you look at, the words and what they mean in Greek or Hebrew. But, in my opinion, I think that, I think Mount Sinai, Mount Zion, and the Garden of Eden is in sub-Saharan Africa. And Headley does mention some things that are true, but then there's a lot of things I've listened to him say that are incorrect. I don't agree with.
All right, Dewad, you good? Dewad?
I'm gonna let the sisters go. I was gonna ask one more.
Go ahead.
Well, this is gonna be real quick though. So you said about the Euphrates and all that type of stuff. So basically, we're looking at it as maybe I understand the English and all that. So basically, the Hebrew. So those basically saying that those aren't the words that are there in the Hebrew.
Well, we see the Gihon and the Pihon, and we see the Hikadel or Hiddick, whatever it's called. It's Hikadel, or I forgot, it's 2 Ks or 2 Ds, and then in the Parath River. But we see in the Bible, we see Euphrates. We don't ever see the word Parath, which is a Hebrew word, I guess. In the Greek is Euphrates. These 4 rivers sprouted from Eden, But the thing is, how could they all sprout from Eden if we're seeing that the beginning of the Euphrates River is in Turkey and it ends in the Persian Gulf? So how can Eden be in Central Africa, but then also be in Turkey? Because the river doesn't, the Euphrates River doesn't start in the Persian Gulf and flow into Turkey. Doesn't do that. Rivers don't do that. Rivers like the Congo River, flows into the Atlantic Ocean. The Zambezi River flows into the Indian Ocean. You look at the Niger River, it flows into the Atlantic Ocean. And when you look at the Senegal Gambia River, it flows from the highlands inside in the interiors of West Africa into the Atlantic Ocean.
Are y'all following the Genesis? Are they following the Genesis story and trying to walk us through after the flood what's happening?
Where the Senegal Gambia area is at, going towards America. If you look at the Nile River flows into the Nile Delta, which flows into the Mediterranean Sea. So when we look at the Euphrates River, it flows from Turkey into the Persian Gulf. So the Garden of Eden can't be in Africa and also be in Turkey. It's impossible. So what's the explanation for this? And are we looking at the right Euphrates rivers? Because at some point, the scripture has to prove, or it does say that these four rivers are connected to one body source of water, whether it's above ground or underground. If we can't see it, because there's water underneath the ground too, and the water underneath the ground supplies a lot of the water that we see above ground, on the land, and we are seeing with our own eyes. So when we look at the water that's underground and the water that's above ground, there are plenty of rivers, and there are basins. There are water basin territories that they cover, and you can call a watershed region, and a lot of these rivers can be accounted for as potentially being the river.
Wait a minute. Haywood said, show where there's any land flowing with milk and honey in North America, Saudi Arabia, the Levant, or you think it's real milk and, hey, yo, let me shut this live down. Let me shut this live down right now. I know what to do. Enough is enough for you people.
Euphrates, or the river Tigris, or the river Pihon or Gihon. And a lot of sometimes the African tribes in sub-Saharan Africa, they all state that there is proof from what they have learned in their oral history that connects a lot of these rivers, like the Zambezi, the Congo, the Nile, the Niger, the Senegal Gambia River, that connects them all together. And from where they are connected together and the original source of these water bodies, they say it could be the enigma or the mystery to where the Garden of Eden and the beginning of the branch of the four rivers that in the Bible, make up the Gihon, the Pihon, the Tigris, and the Euphrates in the Bible. So, I don't like to, I know we see what's in our Bible and what we read, which the Gentiles, have full control over the authorization in the translation. They had to translate and authorize based on some knowledge of the original history, whether they took some of it and inserted their own. We don't know the percentages, but we do know that they couldn't make up the whole Bible story out of thin air. Like they just couldn't just create a story without it having some foundation. And the foundation of the Bible is in the history of the Bantu people. The Bantu people live in the area, and they tell of stories that seem to not align with the the rivers that we see today as the Euphrates in the Middle East and the Tigris. They seem to align their stories of these four rivers that sprouted from the Garden of Eden to all being in the continent of Africa. So who are we going to believe? We're going to believe what they say and what we kind of see in reality, or are we going to believe what the Bible says and try to figure out, well, is the Garden of Eden in Turkey or is it in Africa? Because the Tigris and the Euphrates River does not start in Africa. It doesn't even end in Africa, you know, outside of some boundary or coast of Africa. You know, all the major rivers that we see in Africa that I named, they all empty on the coastline of Africa. But the Euphrates and the Tigris River, they all start and they empty outside of Africa. So it's like, what's going on here? Well, who are we going to believe? You know, because these are all words that they put and we read in our Bible today. The same reason why I think that we read the word Red Sea, but then in the Hebrew, it's not Yam Adam, meaning Red Sea. It's not that. Because if it truly was the Red Sea in the Greek Septuagint in the English Bible, then how come in the Hebrew translation it doesn't say Yam Adam? It doesn't say that. It says Yam Suf. And Yam Suf, the Suf means reeds. And then the same thing with the word unicorn. How did the word unicorn get in our Bible? Who put it there? And that is like a slap in the face to our intelligence. That we will actually read the Bible and see multiple verses in the book of Numbers and others that say the word unicorn. And we know there's no unicorn in real life. So what did they change that word to? Before it was called unicorn. So if it was called rhinoceros or monoceros, then we know that rhinoceroses are still living today in Africa. They're indigenous to Africa. And why would a rhino die off in Israel? What would cause a rhino to die off in Israel? And a lion to die off in Israel, or a bear to die off in Israel, you know, or an ostrich to die off in Israel, or a giraffe to die off in Israel, or crocodiles to die off in Israel. So there's a lot of things that we read in our Bible, but you know, these are all some of these things that the Bible that we read today, you know, it's been changed. The Masoretes, the Catholic Church, the Greeks, the Romans, the Edomites, they all have full control of packaging.
Well, that's what if the Bible's been changed. Let me be quiet. Y'all tell me. Everything's been changed. Everything's been changed. So who we're relying on for the original understanding and pulling together the original Bible? It ain't textual criticism. It's not comparing the manuscript. This is our master.
The Bible and giving it to us so that we're confused on where the land of Canaan is, on who we are, and these rivers or Eden is at. We're confused. But one thing that I say is that reading a book and then looking at reality is two different things. Because, you know, DNA, they can't change our DNA. The white man can't change the DNA that's in us. And the DNA can be tested. And the bones that they find in Africa and Israel can be tested. And when you look at the animals, they can't change and make new animals. The animals are what they are. You put the word lion and leopard and bear and rhino and giraffe and ostrich and a hyena and a wolf and a jackal and a crocodile and an African ibis and all these birds and animals in the Bible. But one of the things for sure is that these animals, including minerals, are in Africa. The iron that the Bible says the land of Canaan, the stones are iron, and the hills you can dig copper or brass. Copper, tin, Iron, silver, and gold, all these things are mined extensively in Africa. Israel is not making tons of money mining copper, tin, zinc, iron, silver, gold, diamonds. They're not doing that, because what they're doing is they're coming to Africa and they're getting these diamonds and minerals and precious metals, and they're refining it and selling it on the world market. So even the minerals of Israel are not in Israel. So in reality, we see the Bible says silver, gold, iron, copper, tin, blah, blah, blah. But these minerals are not in the ground in Israel. It's not there. So where do they go? Where do the animals go? And how come the DNA of the Bantu people is not in modern day Israel? How come Mount Zion is not a mountain? It's not a mountain. It's not a mountain. There's no mountain, no high mountain that you can go to Israel and say, oh, that's Mount Zion right there. I could tell it's the highest mountain I could see. No, the Mount Zion is just a city. It's not a mountain. It's just an area. So how can it be called Mount Zion if it's not even a mountain, or even the highest of all the mountains? These are things that the Bible says clearly, but we don't see it in reality when we go to Israel. Then it says that Jerusalem is surrounded by mountains, and high mountains at that. The high mountains of Jerusalem. The high mountains of Jerusalem. When you go to Jerusalem and stand there and just turn around in a circle and just look to see if you see any high mountains surrounding Jerusalem, you're gonna say, oh, I don't see no mountains. But the Bible says it here. So in reality, we don't see that Jerusalem is surrounded by mountains. So then is the Bible
Somebody find that
lying,
presentation.
or did the white man and the people that translated and authorized the Bible, that they forget to change it so that it lines up perfectly with that part of the world, or that they were sloppy and didn't think that hundreds of years later we would check reality and say, hey, there's no lions and leopards and rhinos and giraffes in Israel. There's no high mountains in Israel. Mount Zion is not a mountain in Israel. Mount Megiddo is not a mountain in Israel. Mount Olives is not a real mountain in Israel. It's just a location. It's just like going to Johannesburg, and Johannesburg sits on 1,700 feet elevation or meters. So naturally, Johannesburg and a lot of other cities are higher above sea level than, say, like a city like Accra that's along the coast of Ghana or Cape Coast. So naturally, cities that are along the coast of Africa are going to be on a lower sea elevation level, similar to, like Miami, but or even New York City, along the coast, along the coast, the river line. But when you go to areas that are cities that are high sea elevation points, just because Johannesburg is 1,700 meters above sea level does not mean that we call the city of Johannesburg a mountain. It doesn't mean that. In any city that's within Johannesburg, we don't call it a mountain. So when you go to Israel and you look at Mount Olives and you look at Mount Zion, they're not going to show you a mountain. They're going to show you just an area with houses and trees, and just places where people are walking and outside. And you're going to say, well, the Bible says Mount Olives. The Bible says Mount Zion. It says the high mountains of Jerusalem. So show me a mountain like Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Everest, Mount Kenya, Mount Winzori. Show me some mountains, some real mountains with snow on the top. They're so high that they got snow on the top and they got a summit. It's like a peak. They can't do it. It's not there. So we're either going to start accepting reality, or we're just going to accept what we read in our Bible and say, it is what it is. That's what it says. I don't believe the land of Canaan is in sub-Saharan Africa. It's right exactly where it is. And my question, people that say that, is if that's your homeland, the land of your ancestors, then what's stopping you from packing up your bags getting a plane ticket and moving there. And if they say, well, the war, they don't want us there. Okay, so then let's just say all the Jews leave Israel. They just all flee Israel because of the war and fighting Hezbollah and Hamas and Iran. Let's just say they all just leave. Now they're gone and the Arabs are there. Will you go then? Will you then go to Israel and land and set up shop and live peacefully amongst the Arabs? Or will you not go? And the majority of people, I think, even if all the Jews left and it was just Arabs hanging around, the African Americans will still not go to Israel and live there. Because I'm gonna tell you this, if you go there, try to live and survive there, you're gonna have to use all types of technologies. You're gonna have so much imported stuff to survive there, because Israel can't survive without their technologies that they have and their imports. Without imports and their technology, then they would starve because it's a desert. Israel is basically a desert land. And so no Israelite's going to leave America, like Mississippi or Georgia or any place like that, or Tennessee, and then go to a barren desert land, like the area that Telluride, Dimona, these are barren desert lands. They barely receive any water. So a lot of people that believe these things, they're not actually going to do anything that they believe that they should be doing according to what the scripture says. And if they say that we need to wait on the Most High, then you're essentially waiting on a rapture, or you're waiting on a UFO chariot to come take you out of America.
Oh, praise. All right, Ron. We got one more question, man, because I know we're a little bit over time, and then I need you to give me the place where I can purchase these debates. Sister Naftali, you got a question for Brother Ron?
Hey, Shalom, most high bless to you. Thank you all so much for allowing me to come on to your panel. I kind of came in a little late, had a lot going on, but I'm here. Hey, shalom to you, Ron Dalton.
I want to hear this. Let me see if this is a Canaanite. Let me see what question this is right here. I want to hear this.
You doing?
Shalom. I'm good.
All right. So I really want to have a conversation with you. I was wondering if I can get you on to my channel, because one thing about it is that I'm a teacher of the Canaanites. I actually have a different perspective. I understand that the Canaanites are very important, and I see that you bring out the Canaanites as well, and you have a different perspective on who you believe the Canaanites are as well. So I want to make sure I do understand. So do you say that the Canaanites are the Khoisan, are the Pygmies? Is that correct?
Yeah, so the Canaanites, okay, for the African Pygmies and the Khoisan are genetically related, and you can say they're distant cousins, and they are indigenous to Africa. They were already there before the Bantu people got there, before they migrated south and started to populate South Africa, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Angola, Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, Kenya. They were these little black people were already there, living there for thousands and thousands of years. So, you know, when I started researching this, I wanted to know who are these black people, this black race, because they're not the Egyptians, they're not the Cushites, and they're not the Puttites, because people that live in Africa, these different tribes, they will tell you that we are the descendants of the ancient Cushites, the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Puttites, the Libyans. They'll tell you this out of their own mouth, and they're in the northern parts of Africa. But then when you go to the Bantu people, they will tell you, you know, the ones that know, they'll tell you that we are the Israelites. And they'll say that when we left Egypt and went to a land that was going to be more plentiful, large, and sustaining for our people, that we migrated south when we left Egypt with our leader, and the leader was Moses, and we migrated to this region here, which was a land that was plentiful and large enough for us to scatter and to continue to have our children and our descendants. And they always say that we ran into these little black people. And the little black people said that prior to the Bantu people, their arrival into sub-Saharan Africa, that their land also had giants in the land, and that they lived amongst the giants, and the giants, were vicious. And they said that, but the Bantu people, when they came down, the Bantu people were numerous, and they were organized, and they were skilled warriors and fighters, and that they helped them drive out and kill off the giants that were in their land. This is what the Pygmies and the Khoisan are saying. And when you
But I don't want to cut you off because I'm trying to build with you. So my thing is this though, Ron. Okay, so you say the Khoisan or the people that originated in Africa, you say they were the originators. Are you believing in the out of Africa theory? Are you following that?
No, they're not. They're not from the Pygmies are not from out of Africa. They're indigenous to Africa.
They're what?
The Pygmies, they are indigenous to Africa. Their DNA, the Y DNA B.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying the out of Africa theory is that that mankind originated in Africa. Is that what you're saying? That that all mankind started in Africa. Is that what you're saying?
No. When I debate this land of Canaan theory, I don't debate or talk about where did Adam and Eve originate from.
No, I'm not talking about Adam and Eve. I'm talking about Noah and Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
So Noah, if we look at the Noah story and we want to know where his boat landed, then either you're going to say his boat landed outside of Africa or inside Africa. But wherever his boat did land, we know that the descendants of Shem and Japheth and Ham, they got their portion of land. And we know that the land of Africa is the land where the Hamites, like the Egyptians.
And why is that? How do we know that the land of Africa is Ham?
Well, if they're not the Hamites, then where are the Hamites today?
The Hamites today are located. The Canaanites actually are the so-called Europeans. They are the Hamites. The land of Canaan is Ham. Land of Canaan is where Ham is where the Hamites derive. The Babylonians are Hamites, right?
Okay,
hold on. Let me go further with you. So let me just say this to you. Everybody wants to say Africa is the land of Ham. Africa is not the land of Ham. Africa is actually Arsarit. When we look at Arsarit, the land that mankind never dwelt, we started off start off in Mount Sinai, traveled down to where Sumer is, so the Sumerians traveled into Babylonia, and then traveled all the way through to where we see Canaan. And then, it all goes along. The Bible goes along with history so perfectly. That's why I don't understand why you want to alter it when it goes so perfectly with history. We know that the Babylonians are the ones that pretty much is where we all resided, is with Babylon. And Babylon is right next to Canaan. And we know that the Canaanites stole the land of Israel. And why can't Africa be the land of Shem? Why can't that land be Shemitic land? Why does it have to be Hamitic? Only thing people say is that, only thing people say is that the land of Ham is hot. And I know right now you're in South Africa, and it's not hot there right now, is it? You guys just had a blizzard. Everybody wants to say, yeah, I know. I know. It's hot there right now, or is it a blizzard?
No, it's hot. It's hot. Trust me, I went out today to the store. It was like almost 90 degrees today.
But did you guys have a blizzard?
Just because you see that on TV doesn't mean it's actually happening in Johannesburg.
Just because I see it on TV. Okay, well, I know this, that Africa Africa has snow and they have frost.
Hold on a minute.
I'm here. I'm here in Johannesburg.
Hold on, because I see you really want to have a long conversation, and we running into the time. So how about you try to schedule something with Ron so he can come back?
But Barack, I want him to tell me where in Europe is the land of Canaan? Where in Europe is the land of Canaan?
What's the name of Europe come from? Where does the name of Europe come from? Hold on. The name of Europe actually comes from a Canaanite woman, right?
Okay,
Europa?
Still,
she's Canaanite.
But Natalie, where today in Europe is the land of Canaan? What countries?
Yeah, just answer this question, sis. Just answer
the land of Canaan is where it's at. That's where the land of Canaan is where it's at. That's where it's at. It's where we see it today is Canaan.
What countries in Europe today make up the land of Canaan?
I don't say that they make up the land of Canaan. What I'm saying is, hold on, the land that Canaan is where it's residing at. They traveled
Okay.
up to Europe. Hold on, just like we see Noah landed, and then they came down, and then they traveled through Babylon, which is Canaanites, the Europe, how about this? The Arabs and the Jews, so-called Jews, are Canaanites, right?
Okay. So at least tell me, is it Western Europe, Eastern Europe, Asia Minor, or Scandinavia? What area would you say is the land of Canaan?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Okay, if you can't give me the country, is the land of Canaan Western Europe, Eastern Europe, Scandinavia, or Asia Minor?
Well, we know that Noah landed in Turkey, so we know that the Hittites are actually residing in what we would consider to be Turkey. So we can say that's Ham, where Turkey is.
So Turkey is the land of Canaan.
They might. So Ham is so where Turkey is where we see that the Hittites are right there in Turkey, and then they migrated down, and then they started to go into the land of go all the way through to the land of Egypt within the Mesopotamian region.
No, you're confused. You're saying like stuff. You're saying stuff that doesn't make any sense. No offense. But this who? Okay, well, if the land of Turkey is the land of Canaan, who are the Canaanites today? The white people in Turkey that speak Turkish and Arabic.
Yes. So I know that Barack wants to go, but I actually have some stuff where I can actually show you so you can see it a little better how the migration patterns work. But as you see currently and historically, we see that the Hittites were located within Turkey. And the
No, I know that.
the Indo-European language was established by the Hittites. The language that we currently speak right now is actually came from the Hittites. The Hittite word for water is the English word for water. The Indo-Aryan are the Hittites. That is historically documented and proven. Nobody has a question or a doubt about that. So the thing is that when you talk about the Canaanites were a group of people, the Phoenicians, correct? And the Phoenicians migrated. They didn't just stay in one place, they traveled all around. So the Hamites actually don't have a specific area because they didn't stay where they were designated to stay. They stole the land of the children of Israel. We see that documented in the book of Jasher. We see that they had their land. And guess what? While they were walking to their land, what did Canaan do? He saw the land of Israel and he went and he took that land. So everybody had their land that they were designated to take. However, it says that the land of Shem is in the center of the earth. The only place that's in the center is Africa, right? The land of Africa is in the center. And that's based off of what we see in the book of Jasher. I know you guys want to go with the book of Jasher because you want to say that Ham is hot. And the only place that you can find where Ham is hot is in the book of Jasher. Now, there are places that are hot, right? Over there in Asia, it gets pretty hot over there. And the Asians go back. They actually, when you look at the Sinites, when you research the Sinites, they actually go back to the Asians. They actually tell you that they're the Sinites. It's documented, historically documented.
And who? Oh boy. But they don't like to hear this. Documented in book that's documented as a forgery. We ain't gonna make it. We not gonna make it, y'all. This ain't it, y'all. None of this. Damn it to hell. None of this is it, y'all, but y'all think it is. This is high black people knowledge right here that the white man's been hiding. I might as well go right to it. I might as well go. Hold on. I might as well. Let me see if I can even pull that thing up right there. Is it on here? Where the other sister at? Hold on. No, let me go back. Let me go back. For this ain't it. This ain't it right here. I'm gonna show y'all the root of this.
Logically proven. For the
so
Asians,
the
mhm,
Chinese are the Canaanites.
yes,
They're
the
a branch of
Sinai.
the Canaanite.
Yes, they are. They tell you this. Google it. Google. I mean, if you want me to, I don't have to Google it. I
Oh,
have
good
I have
sister,
the
I meant
information. Everything I'm
Jubilee, not
saying, you
Dasha.
can pull up and verify for yourself. I don't have
In the
time to
land,
come on here and just say stuff
no,
like
no.
you. Who you
So
come on and you say things out of your emotions, out of your feelings. I come on, I say things that are biblically, historically, and archaeologically proven and
okay,
documented.
Naphtali, if the land of Ham is not Africa, then where is the land of Egypt and the land of Cush and the land of Put? Since the land of Shem is Africa, so where's the land of Cush, Put, and Mitzrayim or Egypt?
Just like the land of Canaan, our land that's our land. They came in and they came in
I
and
know you said
migrated. Hold on,
you
they
said
came
you
in.
said Turkey, but you said Turkey was Canaan. So where in Europe is Egypt, Cush, and Put?
We
Where in
don't
Europe?
have Egyptians. We don't have Egypt's land because they didn't go where they were supposed to go. Africa is the land of Shem. What they did was they
Where's Brother B at? He's in here still from NHIT.
saw our land and they came in and they migrated within our land and they stole parts of our land. They have their own land. The problem is they didn't want to stay in it. And the thing is that when you tell me where is the land of Shem, then where is Shem located?
The land of Shem, the land of the Babylonians, the land of the Assyrians, the land of the Elamites is exactly where we see these structures today in Mesopotamia. We
So
see
you're saying to me
Iran.
that you're saying to me that the Babylonians are Shemitic?
The Babylonians territory is the territory of our Farksad. Our Farksad is a son of Shem.
Okay, because the thing is this. We know that from the book of Jasher, it tells you that the land of Shem is in the center of the earth. And so the center of the earth is Africa. Now, when you get over here to these other regions and the Mesopotamian region and all that, that could possibly be where the land of Ham should possibly be at. However, like I said, when you go into who the Canaanites are historically, we see that the Babylonians are actually Amorites. I mean, that's documented as well. Hammurabi was an Amorite. And Hammurabi, the Amorite, is the one that established Babylon. And this is actually historically documented. You can find this in the Real History Encyclopedia as well as the Encyclopedia Britannica. You can find this
So Naphtali,
in accredited sources. Accredited sources.
Did the Israelite men have children with Canaanite women?
Of course they did. Yes.
In
Judges 3, it tells us that the Most High, hold on. In Judges 3, it tells us that the Most High.
Enough for tally. I
just want to say nobody went to church today and folk just been on here for 2 hours.
I'm not trying to be upset with you, but you're over talking him and ain't letting him ask you nothing. I mean, you coming with information. I respect that, sis, but let him ask you some questions. I mean, you keep telling him to hold on.
So she acknowledges that the Israelite men had children with.
You could click on here if you like Elder Green. I put the link out there, Elder Green. I don't know if you got to the next site yet, but I know Elder Green wanted to share some stuff. I don't know what happened, but he ran into something last night after having that discussion with Pastor Mike that he wants to share.
Canaanite women, and the land of Canaan is Turkey. So if are you saying that the Canaanite women today are the white Arabs you see in Turkey?
Yes, it's the people that are desired today. It's the I don't know if you want
So then Natalie, if that is true, then we should see the maternal DNA of
Brother B. What's good with you? How do you think? Let me get my plug. How do you think the interview went in general? Your overall opinion?
Okay, I'm glad. Shalom and peace to everybody in the panel and peace to everybody in the chat. Let me make this clear first, because Garfield, this is the problem, Bareem. A lot of people see bits and pieces of stuff and just Ron, if you remember me being on here before, I told you I was anxious to see Ron's presentation because I don't agree with it either as far as the promised land, right? But one thing about me, and I love to read and love to study, so I don't like to just reject knowledge without seeing it. So far, I have not seen his whole presentation. This interview wasn't about him showing sources. I asked at the beginning, I don't know if you watched the whole video, Bareen, but at the beginning, I asked him something that raised a red flag with me that now I'm going to pay to see the debate because I want to see the information, the sources, all this. I have not seen Ron do this. Maybe y'all have, but I haven't seen him. I follow Ron a lot. I have not seen.
You got to pay for it?
Yeah.
Like it's not on the YouTube video.
One that October 6th, you must didn't start I got all the information.
No, I started 15 minutes in.
No,
after the introduction.
It's going to be on a Zoom platform. Yeah, see, you think that's the beginning with me answering the questions about the promised land. That's why I said people on here talking about like I'm agreeing with them. This you got to watch the whole video. I'm the one that set the interview up. I know him around for about 8 years. Like I was telling you, I helped him get the books. His first book into the federal prison system. Now, this stuff we disagree with Ron about, and if you hear the questions that my brother asked about in his first book, he kind of retracted that. He came clean that it wasn't accurate, and I guess he's changing his position on that today because we didn't agree with that. And we named some pages, so you got to see the beginning of when me and my brother was asking questions. Gotcha. But anyway, I want to make this clear. Yeah, I am satisfied with the interview, Bareen, but I disagree with a lot of stuff because Ron said this key that made me say, well, wait a minute, I got to sit back and see the presentation. He believes Israel, period. Now, I'm going to give you my perspective of what I believe, but he believes Israel in a whole itself is not even a promised land. No, Israel, period, right now. So I asked him, I said, well, what about the temple and the artifacts and all that stuff that's found over there? You know, and he mentioned the artifacts and stuff being moved to the museums. However, he never responded about the temple because my argument is I could believe that Israel was bigger than what it was. I could believe that. I could believe
but you include some of that land
and larger in mass than it was
over there, though. Correct? You include some of that land. You're not going to say nothing in
the whole Israel right now.
Yes. Go ahead.
Absolutely not because of the Jordan River, all the biblical rivers. A lot of them are still right there.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying, in Israel. You know, so I can't, you know, I told around, I said, I gotta see your presentation. One thing about me and my brother NHIT, we're not gonna just say, oh, it's a bunch of baloney. We disagree. We want to see the sources. We want to see his information before we just, because his animal argument, Bareen, now I'm gonna say you this, now I'm agree.
You think that's a good point you brought out with some of the animals?
Without sources, it's a great point because now the pushback, I was always thinking, I said, well, the industrialization may have pushed the animals to the south. But when you look at the south, that means a lot of them animals had to go through a lot of water to get where they at, and some of them would have drowned or died or whatever the case may be. So it wasn't like they all walked from Israel into these lands. So he has valid arguments about the animals being indigenous to that area. And we can't just bat it down and say he's talking nonsense, because if we're reading the Bible about these particular animals, we know for a fact they're not in Israel today. So that's why I believe Israel's a little bit further than what they say it is, and maybe the animals moved into those regions that they're not counting as part of Africa. That's why the argument about Israel being Northeast Africa is somewhat legit. I agree with everything he's saying about that at all. And I need to see the evidence.
Got
I
see
need to
that?
see
I
that.
got no problem with that. Garfield, I
That's
see
my
your
point
girl
on
on
that.
here too. Garfield, go
So
ahead.
Garfield, just to let Garfield know, you are wrong, and you are wrong, Garfield, for accusing me to agree with him, because you, as evidently, you didn't watch the beginning.
The problem is, and I listen to you, and I hope you could able to listen to me. What you guys are doing, and I appreciate. As a matter of fact, I appreciate Naphtali the way she came at Ron, because she got to realize something. She believes in the whole text, and I may not agree with Sister Naphtali, but she approached it the logical way. She wasn't a coward like the people that hosted it. She was able to challenge him and let him look stupid. I don't agree with the stuff that Naphtali said, but I appreciate that. Now, listen to me carefully. I am not 100% a Bible believer. I believe in the truth and the facts and the history and the archaeology that I can prove in the biblical text. There's two things you mentioned to Ron. Ron, do you believe Cyrus was a real king? He's mentioned in Ezra. He's mentioned in Daniel. He's a real king. Yes. Do you believe Cyrus came to Africa, Congo, South Africa? You know that Jerusalem is where it is, or somewhere in that vicinity. That alone ends the conversation. There's no need to carry on. This guy is a charlatan, and he needs to be exposed. And you know what the funniest thing is? He's the so-called #1 scholar in the eyes of white folks that represent you. So every chance you get, this is why he says to people on his channel, yeah, I'll debate golfing. He refuses. I text Ron all the time. He don't want to have a conversation because I'm getting straight to the point. Do you believe Nebuchadnezzar existed? Nebuchadnezzar took people back to Babylon. So where is Babylon then? Because Babylon was in a situation where the people could march back or they could go back by boat. So you're telling me that Jerusalem is not where it existed and it's somewhere else? You're telling me Israel is somewhere else and you're supposed to be a Bible believer? You got to put his feet to the fire. So this is why I may not agree with Sister Naphtali, but she showed, pardon me, Brother Bereen, but she showed more cojones than the actual people from NHIT, because they themselves teach foolishness. So it seems like when people come, no, let me finish. I listen to you. I listen to you. No, I listen to you. I listen. So what? I listen to you. So respect the fact that I'm talking. All right. Listen to me. I listen to your foolishness. Listen to my foolishness. The issue is, ladies and gentlemen, you can't believe in the Bible and then condemn me when I come on this channel and then say you believe, but you allow somebody who claimed they believe to mislead you into hell. You can't do that. So if I'm holding you to the fire with this passion, where was your passion when he was on? Because you want to be sure. You want to be cool with these guys, but when I come on, Garfield is a non-believer. Although I don't disrespect the Bible on this channel, y'all want to come at me and say, he don't believe the Bible. But I have more passion right now than you, who's supposed to be the believer. You got to put his feet to the fire. Shout out to Naphtali. She was more of a man.
Disrespecting that Bible. I got to rob a Garfield. He's doing God's work right now. Ron Dalton disrespecting that Bible on the low.
I told him, how you go, bro? I remember this dude came on my channel and he died like 3 weeks later. Watch this, Barry. This guy came on my channel and said,
and the thing that hurts me, Ron Dalton is a master in Israel. Boy, I don't know. This ain't that, y'all.
Yo,
go ahead, bro.
Hold on, Marwan. Hold on, let me finish. Marwan, let me finish. Yo,
I can't let him accuse something I'm not doing,
Barawak, let me finish. Barawak, let me finish,
that's disrespectful, beloved. He's over-talking me.
That's fine. You disrespect the Bible.
No. I got it. Hold on, Garfield. I gotta admit, he didn't sound like he was eating all that medicine. He would sound like he was eating all that medicine. I can't lie, Garfield. He didn't sound like he was eating all that medicine. But they ain't press him though.
Let me say this. I agree with you saying about holding his feet to the fire and all that. If you watch the video from the beginning, you see that I asked the questions that I totally disagree with. Not just the Promised Land, his book as well. We got beef with a lot of stuff, but there's stuff that's also that we have to look at. Of course, just because he's moving Israel, I never said anything in Israel was moved. I agree that Israel is where it's at. It's that conversation. I don't subscribe to presentation on. So don't come on here thinking that just because Ron said something, I don't disrespect people. Only thing I said about you, point blank, is that you're not a believer. That's it. I don't have no personal beef with you at all. That's your issues. Your issue is going to be dealt with come judgment time.
All right, go ahead. Let him go ahead.
The
As long
land
as we
is
keep
there or
it, long as
not.
we keep
So
it respectful.
I don't have a
Go
problem
ahead,
with you.
Garfield. As long as you keep it respectful. That's
Hey,
all.
let me
Let's
say,
let everybody talk. Let everybody get it out. Go ahead, Garfield.
hey, let me say this carefully to everybody, right? There was a guy that came on my channel, right? You guys look at me as a non-believer. He came on and said that he was the guy in Revelations 5 that the Bible is talking about with Jesus, right? He said he's from Cambodia and Jerusalem is in Cambodia. That's where the temple is. Another guy came on at the same time. I said Judah is attached to Utah in the United States of America. So I had both of them go back and forth, right? Now, the issue I brought to both of them, I'm saying to them, it's simple. This is not hard. Nebuchadnezzar invaded Israel and he took the people from Judah and destroyed the temple. Then on top of it, then you have the person who what do you call it? The person now that then says, did Cyrus exist? So if these people are real people in history and we all acknowledge it, this conversation don't need to be 2 hours or 1 hour or even 5 minutes. We know Nebuchadnezzar is real. We know Cyrus is real. We know he allowed the Jews, according to the biblical text, to come back. We know all of that. So you're telling me the people marched from Persia and Babylon and marched to Africa? Are we really listening to this guy, Ron Dalton? This is just beyond comprehension. What is there to talk about? What is the argument? Ron, why are you playing games with people's lives? What are you doing? So if you are standing on your square, you can't allow that. This is why Ron does not want to have a conversation. Because one, we got to say where Nebuchadnezzar went. Where did Cyrus went? Where did Hezekiah have a battle at? Where did he have a battle with Sennacherib? Where did these things take place? This is one place. It's everybody knows.
Let me ask you a question, Garfield.
Hold on.
Let me ask you a question.
Hold on.
Garfield. Let me build with you.
I don't want to build with you. Hold on 1 second. Let me finish. All I'm saying is, I'm not being disrespectful now. I'm saying to you, if even with the stuff with the Hittite stuff that Dr. said, I kind of disagree with her, but I'm just saying she put up an argument. I wish she was at the beginning of the interview. I wish she did the interview, because the way she came at him, I don't agree with her Canaanite stance and all that, but she's standing on her square and she's standing on business. And the whole Hamite stuff and the Shemite stuff, I actually have to rock with her with a conversation. But I'm just saying to you and to everybody that allows this guy to come and spread this misinformation, shame on you. That's what I say. Garfield said it. Shame on you. I'm not disrespecting you. I'm saying if you a Bible believer, you're standing on square, do what you got to do, Barawak. You're supposed to let him feel uncomfortable. If I come on your channel and I'm talking nonsense, you got to let me feel uncomfortable. I got to be uncomfortable.
What you wanted me to do? Yell at him and tell him he was a false teacher? That's what you wanted me to do? Tell him he was a false teacher?
Yes.
Let me tell you this. What do you think about his? Hold on. That's you. Me and you two different. Hold on. Me and you are two different people. Okay? Or Berean work. That's two different people. I don't care who. If you came on my platform, I wouldn't talk to you like that. And I wouldn't tell you what you changed that. So I don't disrespect people like that. First of all, I'm a grown man and I'm an elder. So I don't carry myself like that with people until they fall out of place with me. Do I agree with them? No. But let me ask you this, because I want to pick your brain, because you got valid arguments. But now Ron is telling me something different. Now, maybe you got receipts, because he told me that he don't know nothing about that, what you're talking about. So let me ask you this. The animals, do you think it's a valid argument about the indigenous, the animals in that region that's not there, that's in the text? That's what I'm trying to look at. So help me understand, because one thing about me, I'm a student first. I don't know everything. Help me understand why the animals today are not there and how did they get moved?
Well, I can explain that if you don't mind. All right. So the megafauna.
I want to ask Garfield that, and then you can come in and explain that.
Let me
Not
say
for talent.
this.
I asked Garfield because I want to see his, then you can come in and explain.
Yeah, the argument
explain
is
that with the animals.
A lot of people don't, and I
because
wish
he's going to have to show me
hold on.
When he goes live with his presentation.
Let me answer the question. I wish when Alton and Dunamis and Mike Holloway and everybody's arguing, they would do something that's simple so everybody could understand the Bible better. We got to understand certain things. When you're reading the Bible in English, it doesn't always do the original meaning justice. So what happened is the people who are translating, whether they're white, black, red, brown, Arab, whatever, they're trying to find the best word to use in a context of today's mindset to let you have a better understanding of 3,000 years ago. So sometimes they might not get it right because there's a group out there. Hold on, give me 30 more seconds. There's a group that's in America that claim that they're Israelites, and they use a word. They're saying that there's no way that the flood could have happened in the Levant. It had to happen in America because the name that they're using, I don't remember what the word that they're using. He said that that wood that they use in the Bible is only found in North America. So hence, the Bible is referring to North America. So what happened is we fall into that trap because of translations and transliterations of words. So it's not in its proper context. So this is why learning Hebrew is very essential. So when he reads the English now and say, well, it meant rhinoceros before, whatever, who knows? And another thing too, the person who's writing the story could be writing the story in a context that doesn't even fit 600 years ago. Because remember, if Ezra is rewriting the text, Ezra might write words in the 5th century, might not have that existed in the 12th century during our in 13th century when Moses' time. So the words can change. People could change. It just depends on the context and the time period. So because a word is in English, don't necessarily mean it's correct. It's just the best term that the translators could find to use to give you a better understanding. That's all it is. It don't mean that there was big jumbo giraffes in the left. Hold on.
That's not answering my question because we read.
I'm answering your question. Why he? Listen, bro. Because you see,
that's the first thing we study and we teach in our community. It's Hebrew. Don't answer my question. I want to see his source.
I just answered your question. I said you have to think about it.
You didn't answer. You didn't answer.
No problem.
Words, each animal that we're talking about, Garfield, is in Hebrew. Each animal, all due respect. But let me just say this because I don't want to go back and forth. I do not agree with Ron on record that Israel is not part of that. Part of Israel is the promised land, and I disagree. I believe it's a little bit larger than what it is, and that's what I agree with, and that's what my take on it. As far as the animals, he has a valid argument. He's saying that he's going to bring these sources out October 6th against the deacon. I'm waiting to see, so then I can tell him he is wrong. My brother told him, if you look at the video, the page 182 in his book, we called him out on the book of Jasher because we don't subscribe to the book of Jasher. And he said he mentioned that it was in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's not. It's not mentioned in the Dead Sea Scrolls because we studied the Dead Sea Scrolls the last 20 years. So we disagree with him on a lot of information he put out. But I'm not going to reject something that I have not heard before. I'm a student first. So again, I'm going to call him personally about the debating you, Garfield, because I want.
I'm sorry. I'm
going to call him about debating you, though, because I'm going to set that up.
I'm going to need some clarity on something. Are you saying that the animals would change your mind of where Israel is? The purpose of the animal argument is irrelevant. It's actually irrelevant.
Well, I can answer that question, though, and please allow me to, because it's wrong.
Hold on, Ira, I'm asking you. Hold on 1 second. I want to ask you, why is the animal argument so important? What would that do for you?
Because great question. The reason why it's important to me is because it's in the text. So my argument would be that the land is larger than it was, because I believe that Israel was connected at one time and was Northeast Africa, right? So my argument would be, if the land is bigger than what it is, then that gives the reason why the animals are not there today. That's all I'm saying.
Do you know where South Africa
I believe Israel is a little bit bigger than what it is.
Hold on. Do you know where South Africa is?
Do I know?
Yeah, you know where South Africa
that's extreme. That's why I got the argument, Garfield. I agree.
Bro,
that's the far stretches over 9,000 kilometers.
Okay. So now, if you know how far South Africa is, why would you entertain a conversation? It's not about Israel being bigger or anything. You have to remember, you have to look at it in context.
Garfield.
Oh, man,
Garfield, I like to listen and learn, regardless if somebody's false. You cross-examine it and you figure that out. You figure that out later. It's stuff that you put out, Garfield, right? That we cross-examine, that's false. You telling me you never put nothing out false? Because we could take you back to receipts of what you said about the ACOM people. Now, I mean, come on, man. Let's be honest. You ain't never been wrong? Huh? Have you ever been wrong? I don't know what happened, Marie. Or did I get muted?
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Sister Nafetali, Marie, you could explain it. That's my argument. I want to hear the sources about.
Well, see, the thing that I'm noticing is a lot of people get up here and they say a lot of stuff, but they don't really have the full knowledge or the information. They quick to put something down based off of pseudo information. He sit up there and talk about the animals, and he doesn't know anything about the megafauna. And the thing is also, when you talk about lions, America did have a lion. The American lion is now extinct, but there was a lion here. See, the thing is that the megafauna, a lot of the large animals have gone into extinction. And we can talk about the dinosaurs for that. So the thing is for him to get up there and make these claims, and he's making a lot of claims, and he's trying to change a lot of information incorrectly. And then he's actually getting people to agree with him because he has pulled you on. He's wrong. There's all types of unicorns, animals with singular horns that are just not in Africa. Right? There's monkeys that are located here that people don't even, like these evolutionists teach. There's apes that actually are here in the United States that actually came from Africa. So the thing is that there is tons of animals that reside here in America that he wants to sit up here and say that don't. So I hope that this actually helps you with your reasoning to his argument, because he's wrong with that. He's false.
Here's another thing. Okay, so this is the thing about me. One thing that I do know well and I do study is what is in the text. And what is in the text in these regions and land and area of these animals says what they are in Hebrew. So again, I see your point with these animals, and I'm not saying that I'm agreeing. Again, that's if you was in an interview, I'm willing to listen to what he's saying. He's saying he's got information on this. He hasn't presented it to nobody. Nobody has a video of him saying it's garbage. Just like your argument. I disagree with you on the Canaanite argument, but guess what? I haven't listened to your presentation to just say it's a bunch of nonsense. It might be something you show that I could cross-examine and say, oh, wow, she might have a point. But right now, like I disagree with him, I disagree with you on your presentation of what you
not to cut
believe.
you off.
So
My
again,
problem is that I don't have. But I just want to say this to you. I don't have a problem with people disagreeing. My problem is I don't have anybody to debate me on it. Nobody wants to pull me to the side and actually debate me on the information. And that's what I need. Right. So if you want to debate me on it, let's debate it. Let's talk about it. I have gone on Garfield's channel many times, and he and I have debated. I've debated many people on many different topics. This one topic here, though, with the Canaanites, I can't seem to get anybody to debate me on it. And I think Ron would be the perfect person because, or not even Ron, I see he got Deacon to debate him. I need someone
Right.
to challenge me on my information. People get up here, they laugh, they turn their noses up, they giggle, but when we actually set the tone and set the stage, let's see how much they're going to laugh and giggle. Because the thing is that I don't just say how I feel. I
I
don't
hear
just
you.
say what the
I
Bible
hear you.
says. I look at it biblically,
I agree with
archaeologically,
you.
and scientifically, and historically. I look at all those aspects to prove my thesis. Right. So the thing is that you guys get up here. I heard Ron say a lot of how the Bible is incomplete or how it's incorrect. He even downs the Bible. He puts down the wording of the Bible. It says that the Europeans have come in and they corrupted the information of the Bible. You can't say that the Europeans corrupted the information of the Bible
Everybody,
because it doesn't agree with
a
what
lot
you
of people
say.
that listen, he's saying, hold on, Naftali. I'm not going to let you say that. He didn't say. He said the translators did a lot of corruption, and that's true. That's true. The original text is not.
Based off
There's
of
no
what?
contradictions.
Based off
There's
of
no
what?
contradictions in
The
the
King
text
James, the
except in
King
the English.
James is actually supposed to, the King
Based
James,
off
the language,
the English.
hold on, the Old English has over 28,000 words within the vocabulary. It is very extensive within the vocabulary. The Most High had to preserve his
So
words
you
somewhere.
hold on. So because I get. All right. So let me ask you this: you're saying in the English there's no translation errors?
Within the King James, no.
Is that what you're saying?
Can you, based off of what? Do you have anything
Okay.
to
So
show
what I'll
this?
do is I don't want to hold up. Okay. Yes. I'm going to get with you because I don't want to hog up Bareen's channel, but I'll get
No, we
with
don't
you
have to hog
and
up
give
his
you a
channel.
plethora of verses
I
in
can come
English.
over there to you, or you can come over there
Yeah,
with me.
I'll give you.
And the thing is, because I base the Bible off of the
Absolutely. I'll
Giaz,
give you the
I
question.
go to the Ethiopian text. The Ethiopian is the oldest complete Bible. That is the oldest
Well, you
complete
just
Bible in history. Before the
well,
Greek,
you just
before
said
the
wait a minute. You just said the King James. Wait a minute. Hold on. You're moving fast. You just said I asked you, was there any translation errors in English in the King James version? And you said, no, it's not. Now you're talking about the Geese. I agree with the Ethiopian Bible and the ancient manuscript of the Geese. We talking about the English version and the King James version Bible, which Ron was talking about. There are translation errors. That's a historical fact. The
Can you
Masoretic
provide
text
an
has
example? Can you
translation
provide an
errors.
example? Because the
Any
Most High had to
scholar,
preserve the word. Hold on, he had to preserve his word, so we know that the Giaz is there. And then we have the King James. The King
okay,
James, there is nothing, the 1611. There is nothing wrong with the King James. Only thing people do is
that's what
they
I'm
get up here and
speaking
they
about.
say there's contradictions. People get up here and say how they feel, but I haven't seen anybody come out and showcase where they are. A lot of things that I see is a lot of people are lacking the knowledge to be able to understand what is being written there. Like I said, the
Well,
hold on, because the language is.
okay. So you're asking for the information. You're asking for the information. I'm gonna give it to you. I'm not denying it. I'm gonna give it to you. Yeah. We
Well,
can
the thing
arrange
is
that.
you're making
I'll come
things a
over
little
there.
bit.
You can
Let's
come
not
over
make
here
things too
on
complex.
my
If you
channel.
have a contradiction, just provide the scripture and I'll research it. How about you provide it right now? I'm gonna write it down. Because it shouldn't be, if it's so many contradictions, they should just come off
All
the
right, let
top
me.
of your head.
All right, let me find it
Any
for you
errors
right now, Delicious.
within the King James.
All
But
right,
like I said,
1 second.
when I came onto this channel and I spoke with Ron about it, Ron, I see that he is not very honest. He's not very honest within his information. I came to him, I told him I said to him, he tried to make me seem like I don't understand what I'm talking about. Because everybody wants to make it like ham is hot. And I said there's a blizzard in South Africa. And he laughed and he said it's 90 degrees here in Johannesburg. Okay, well, I didn't say Johannesburg. I said South Africa. South Africa is a large continent. I'm sorry, country, excuse me. Large country. Just like here in the United States. It can be snowy here in St. Louis, but in California, it can be 70, sunny and warm over there in California. That's the same thing how it is in South Africa. They get snow, they get winters, they get all of the seasons. Did he want to say that? Did he want to admit that? Did you see that? He wanted to make me look as if I'm crazy. Like I just said that there was a blizzard and he's there in South Africa. Like you can't believe everything you read. Excuse me, there's actual newscasts, there's people actually showcasing the snow, them inside the snow, and he wanted to make me seem like I'm crazy. And that right there puts me down to see that he is not as honest. He's not an honest man, and he's willing to do and say whatever he has to say to get his message out. And a lot of people need to understand that Africa does have winters. They do. And they have summers and they have springs and they have falls. And so
okay. Let me say this.
Ham is also
Can
not
I say this real
found.
quick because I'm about to get off? Because you asked me for some information.
Well, you don't have to get off. I came on here.
Right?
Yeah, no, you said there's errors.
I'm getting ready to give it to you. I just got something to do. That's.
No, that's fine. Go ahead and give it to me. Thank you.
All right. So John 8, right? First of all, are you familiar with the scholar Bert D. Ehrman? Because you would agree it's over 5,000 Greek manuscripts, right? And you have 3 of the oldest manuscripts. John 8, historically, scholarly wise, it's been since the consensus that it was added, the woman of adultery, right? So when you look at the oldest manuscripts, they're not in there originally. It was added later. So that right there will show you a translation error. That's one. I have a whole bunch because I study the Greek translation manuscripts. I'll give you a book to read, and it's called "Whose Word Is It?"
So you're comparing the Greek with the King James?
Error, though. That's not a translation error. That's just somebody adding on to the text. That's not a translation.
In the English, it was added. That's all I'm saying.
But okay, it was. Well, it may have been.
If it's added, it's a translation error and it's a contradiction.
No, it can't be a translation error.
Let's not move the goalposts. That's one. But listen, if you, Garfield, all right, hold on. Garfield, you want to debate me on that? There's no translation errors in English. Would you debate me on that?
No, I'm not disputing that. Hold on. Hey,
do you want to debate me on that? Yes or no?
You're kind of sensitive right now. Let me respond and say something to you. 10 seconds.
No, I'm just saying.
I just need 10 seconds. Can I get 10 seconds? I'm saying to you, saying that something was added to the Bible is not a translation error. You could say it was added to the Bible. That doesn't mean it's a translation error. Translation error would be Mark 5:2. And you said that in the oldest manuscripts, it's like, I'm sorry. Hold on. In my brother, why don't you be quiet when somebody else is talking? What is wrong with you? You don't have no discipline, bro? Come on. It's like Revelation. We talk about.
Me and you both do the same thing. What you mean?
Come on, bro.
Go ahead.
Relax. You see, you don't want somebody to correct you when you're wrong. Look at your ego. And you're talking about me. Revelation, you talk about 666.
I don't have no ego, man.
My brother, chill out. Let me talk, bro. You got 666 in the old. You have 666 and you have 616. The oldest version that they found says 616. The versions after it says 666, but the 666 is the proper translation based off of textual criticism. So now in some versions you have a 616 for the mark of the beast, and in some versions you have 666. Now you could say there's a translation error or transliteration error based off of what they're writing, whether it's in Latin or in Old Greek. So that's a translation error. But if you're saying that this wasn't in the book earlier, that's just something somebody added on, like 1 John 5:7. It talks about the Trinity. That's added on. That's not a translation error. There's a difference. You got to understand what you're talking about. That's all I'm saying. Peace.
Okay, and being technical, you were somewhat right, but what I'm saying is, if you add it to the text and it's in English, then it is an error. That's all I'm saying. The proper definition, you did put it in the perspective the right way. And please forgive me for over talking, but at the same time, if it's added to the text, then that means it was translated with an intentional error or by mistake, and that was an intentional error. So that's why I'm saying it's a translation error. Now you have contradictions in English as well. In Galatians, I think it's 3 something, but I got a whole plethora. Let me ask you this: do you agree, Garfield, that in English there's translation errors then in the proper definition?
Yes, yes, because you know why I say it though? Because in the English, in the King James diaries, and the diaries of the King James being put together, they admit to changing stuff. They said it. They said it themselves. They made stuff up with the translations. So yes, there must be errors in the King James version.
And the Masoretic text is corrupted. It's a lot of corrupted errors. Even though we use it, it's a lot of errors, Sister Nafatali, in a Masoretic text.
How do you determine an error in the Masoretic text?
There's errors where they change the definition.
How you determine the errors in the Masoretic text? Do you have an original to go by?
The vowel points of the def. Say it again.
The vowel point. You saying the vowel points produce the errors? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, sometimes depending on the definition, though, depending on like one word, right? They might have a word that has 5 different meanings, right, for that same word. But then when you put it in context with what they're talking about, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. We got classes on showing that you can fully cross-examine it, Garfield. It don't make no sense. Or what it's saying in the text.
Okay,
so it had to be an error.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay, no problem, brother. No problem.
I'm not trying to act like I know everything, but I'll tell you this. There are errors. I believe in the whole Bible.
That's fine, but if there are errors, you have to have an original to go by, and we don't have an original. That's the first problem with your methodology. What are you going by to say there's an error?
You're right.
What's your methodology? How are you doing your textual analysis? This is why Sister Naftali said what she said. She said there's no errors. She might be wrong, but how do you prove her wrong if you don't have an original to go by? And another thing too, we keep mentioning this Ethiopian geese text. And the geese text. Hold on. I can't even get a word out. You know what? Have it, bro. You can have it. Sister Naftali, you want to say something, sis?
Well, thanks, Garfield. The thing is, like you said, my thing is with the logic. I like to work with a lot of logic here. A lot of people say that there's things added, removed, and there's errors within the text. But then my thing is, how do you know what to believe that is actually true then? How can you sit there and read something that you know has been tampered with? How do you know, and how do you be able to determine what is actually truth and what is false? Because that right there goes to show, and then it tells me whoever you're listening to, whoever you're listening to, they're able to read and determine and preserve the word, but the Most High can't preserve his own word. The Most High doesn't have the power to be able to preserve his word, to give his people the information that they need to be able to move forward within his walk, his truth. An omniscient, omnipresent, autonomous deity.
Hear what I said? It's Did you hear what I said? I said the English, the Hebrew, and the Greek is something that we can look at. We can look at the Hebrew, and the Hebrew would be different. It would actually be different from what the English is saying.
Okay, but how do you determine which version is the right version?
Again, if you need those verses, I'll give you a list of them.
How do you determine which version is the right version, beloved? If you have the Greek, you have the Septuagint, so-called Septuagint, and the Hebrew, how do you determine?
Go by that. If you match that up with it saying in English, then that right there shows you that the English is false and the Hebrew is right.
No.
That's it.
No. I think your methodology is off, because the Septuagint, the version of the Septuagint, scholars go by certain things. Like in Genesis, and certain instances in Numbers. We see that the Greek version is actually following an older version than what we have in the Masoretic text in certain instances, especially when you're talking about Genesis 46:26. You have Ephraim and Manasseh having children and grandchildren, and they say that one is probably an older version, although that's not in, because there's 75 in the Septuagint version. In Acts it says there's 75, but in the Masoretic text it's saying it's 70. So which one should we go by going into Egypt? Should we go by the 75 in the Septuagint and in the book of Acts?
Wait a minute, hold on. Oh, wait a minute. Are you talking about? Hold on. I want to know what are you talking about? The souls that went into Egypt?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about, Garfield?
Yes, I am. In the Masoretic it says 70.
Manuscript compares. That's right. That's a great question. But guess what else says the right number that matches what it says in the Torah, the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls.
All right. Watch this. It's very near.
Hold on. Because the Dead Sea Scrolls is more ancient than that.
All right, watch this. You have the Dead Sea Scrolls, you have the Septuagint, you have the Masoretic text, and you have the what? You have the Samaritan Pentateuch. Which one of them, let me see how deep you are now. Which one of them said that Jerusalem is where the temple is? Because 3 out of the 4 say it's Mount Gerizim. So what should we go with? Should we go with the Mount Gerizim concept, or should we go with Jerusalem? Because 3 says Mount Gerizim and 1 says Jerusalem.
What 3 says Mount Gerizim? I'm not familiar with 3 of them saying. So what?
Yeah, 3 of them point to Mount Gerizim. I think the Masoretic text point to the Jerusalem, but the other 3.
What 3?
I think the Dead Sea Scrolls.
I remember 2.
The Dead Sea Scrolls, the Septuagint, and the Samaritan Pentateuch.
All of them say what?
Those 3 says Mount Gerizim.
All of them say what?
They talk about Mount Gerizim, and one of them talk about Jerusalem as a temple. I might have one of them wrong. It might be the 70 and not the Masoretic. Or 3 out of 4 talks about going to Mount Gerizim.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that?
I could get the information. I could check on my notes.
That?
Yeah.
I got it. I got it. I just want to make sure. Oh, you stand on? Okay. Okay. I'm gonna get it for you. Show you. I disagree.
So what do you want to debate again? You want to debate what? What do you want to debate again?
I said I would debate you about the translation. You agreed already that there's translation errors.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
In English.
But did you point it out? Did you point out? Well, hold on. Did you give Naphtali an example though?
Naphtali disagrees with that, but right now you want some catch you moment trying to.
No, I'm not trying to get you on no gotcha moment.
You can't even be honest.
I'm not trying to get you on a gotcha moment. This is what happens when Garfield talk to people, man. You know, it seems like Queen Naphtali have more cojones than you guys. Because every minute I'm talking to somebody, I'm not trying to get you. I'm not trying to do a gotcha moment. I just ask a simple question. I am saying right now, Sister Naphtali requested a source. She requested an
all types of names.
She requested my brother.
I gave her an example.
Bro, that's not.
But hold on, Garfield, because I respect, Barack, and they do have the cojones. They come over here, they talk with you, they debate. And the problem is that that's his friend. He's been friends with him for 8 years. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that was all about. And he did ask them questions. So let's not do that. Now, Garfield, where's my debate at? You still haven't found that debate for me, though. Have you found it yet?
Let's get this out.
Some of these men now.
He's scared. He probably scared to debate you. Hey, I tell you this.
Can I say this real quickly? Hey, Barack, can you give Naphtali an example?
Thank you, Dunamis. There's the example right there where Dunamis just showed a different example. The Dead Sea Scrolls says 75.
I
told you the Dead Sea Scrolls is more accurate, though. It's accurate.
You can't say that. How do you know that? You don't. But how do you know that it's
Why
more
not?
accurate? What do you?
Okay,
How you determine what's more
what is,
accurate?
okay, let me ask you this: the Dead Sea
I'm
Scrolls
asking
was
you,
found.
how do you determine the Dead
What do
Sea
you mean?
Scrolls is more
What?
accurate than the
The Dead Sea-
Septuagint? How do you determine that?
Because the Septuagint was translated, was written what, 270, around
What was it
270,
being
280
translated from?
BC.
What was it being
The
translated
Dead Sea
from?
Scrolls is old. And let me say you this: in the Septuagint, the word snow, when Moses turns his hands into snow, it's not even in there. It's not even in there. So the Dead Sea Scrolls is more ancient than the Septuagint, and it was found in the caves of Qumran by Damascus.
Ezra Ben Khazar made a great point. The
It's more
Septuagint
ancient.
was used by the apostles. They didn't use the Masoretic text. The Septuagint was used by the apostles. You are correct, Ezra. So this is why I'm trying to figure out how is he saying what is authority or not? Because the apostles are using the Greek version of the Old Testament.
I get that, but they were more closer.
All right. I'm still waiting for that
When you say
example.
apostles, are you talking about the biblical apostles?
Yeah, the biblical apostles in the New Testament, they're using the Greek
Are
Septuagint.
you talking about the biblical apostles?
The biblical apostles,
That they
yes.
use the Septuagint?
Yes, sir.
What information you have for that? What information you have for that?
Oh, so I see what's
What
going on now.
information you have for that?
You really don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I got you. This is why
No,
whenever
I ain't gonna sit there and lie to you. I never heard.
Yeah, the Greek
heard
Septuagint. All right, let me say this.
The Septuagint.
Let me say this. If you're looking at the
I'm not
biblical
gonna sit there and act like I know. I just need you to give me the sources.
my brother, the source is the Greek Septuagint. If you compare the verses and the words that they're using, you compare it, it matches with the New Testament. And it makes sense because they were Greek speakers at the time. So more than likely, they would be using a Greek version of the text because they were speaking Greek. It was the lingua franca. So you're not aware of this? And you're trying to say about mistranslation? Interesting. Very interesting. I'm just saying, you know so much. You know, I don't know anything.
I disagree with you.
I'm just throwing stuff out. I'm just throwing stuff out. I'm just throwing stuff out.
I don't know so much. But
by the way, did anybody see what Ezra Ben Khazar, the Hebrew, wrote? He already wrote it in the chat. He already wrote it in the chat. Huh? The Septuagint was used by the apostles. It was. It's facts.
Okay, so we need to have a conversation about that.
Okay, no problem.
Because the timeline and all that, I got an argument for that.
Sure, you have an argument. But is your argument true?
Now you got to show me.
I don't have to show you.
That the apostles was walking the earth. That they were walking the earth.
They were quoting. They're quoting not. And by the way, to the word Septuagint is something I think around 4th century AD. I call it the Greek version of the Old Testament. And if you look at the words and look at what they're quoting the Septuagint, the so-called Septuagint. That's what they're quoting.
Were they alive? Now let me ask you this: were any of them alive when the Septuagint was written?
Why would you ask me a stupid question like that? Why would they be alive if they're in the 1st century? If they're in the 1st century, why would they be alive?
It's not a stupid question.
It's a stupid question, man. Come on, man. You're
It's
more
not
smarter
a
than
question.
that.
I just want to get
you're trying to say, I got you.
I need you to answer.
You're trying to get me. Look at this. Look at this, Barry. These guys don't know who they're talking to, man.
Can you answer the question? Then answer the question. What are they not?
The apostles in the Bible.
You want to answer the question?
Can I answer the question? The apostles were alive during the 1st century, my brother.
Yes.
The Septuagint, or the first 5 books, were written around the 3rd century BC. So they could not have been alive at the time of when it was written. Is that okay for you?
But you said
boy, that's right. They can't give certain people books enough. The minute they start reading books, they start they feel like they know everything. Hey, but I will say this, man. I still want to see a mistranslation. I want to see a mistranslation.
Would you debate that though? Would you
Debate
debate that, Garfield?
Debate what?
Would you
Well,
debate
debate what?
that they use the Septuagint? That the apostles used that the apostles used the Septuagint.
No,
The
actually,
apostles
I
that
don't think
walked the
that's a
earth with
topic.
the
We could have a
Messiah.
we can have a conversation about it. I wouldn't debate you on that. That's not something that's attractive to debate. That's just common sense. So I wouldn't debate that. I would debate that you're not an
That's how you
Israelite.
see.
I would debate.
That's how
You're
some
not.
people feel about.
I would debate that you're an identity thief. I would debate that you're stealing somebody's identity. That's what I would debate.
To me, that's a waste of time arguing with you and debating you.
I would debate that.
It doesn't make sense. See,
I would debate that.
It doesn't make sense. That's just like me saying all the stuff you used to believe that didn't make sense either.
You're damn right it ain't make sense. That ain't no
it's
wild
been
stuff,
fun,
man. Muhammad was God. That shit ain't made that ain't made no sense. That ain't made no sense. Looking back into it, it ain't made no sense.
That's right.
And I stand corrected.
That's right. I'm glad you.
That don't make no sense.
That's the first time I
Elijah
ever
Muhammad
heard you
was Elijah of the New Testament. That don't make no sense. No sense. That don't make no sense. But I will say that
though,
I'm still waiting for this mistranslation in the English that Sister Naphtali asked for. I'm still waiting for that. I'm not trying to move from that right there. I'm trying to stay on topic. I would love this mistranslation that's in the King James that Sister Naphtali asked for. She don't want to stress it because I guess she's trying to keep the friendship good. I don't care. I'm no respecter of persons. So I say to you, where is the evidence? Where is the evidence of a mistranslation in it? Where is the evidence? That's what I'm asking. Do you have evidence of this? That's all I'm asking. No, I'm not even arguing.
I'll send them to y'all. No problem. We got a list of them, and then you can tell me whether they're wrong or not. All right.
Go ahead, my brother.
That's
not for me, for Naphtali. I'm just trying to stand up because you're ignoring the woman.
I'm saying, but you're agreeing with it now, so you can come as well, and then it can be cross-examined. It's no sense in me. Like I tell you, I've been trying to leave, but this easy to get, and it's a bunch of them. You know what I'm saying? So either we can get together or not.
Hey, give me 1 second, guys. I gotta collect my Uber Eats.
Well, see, my thing is how many errors are there, and when does it become too many where the Bible becomes something that is obsolete? You know what I'm saying? When does it become that?
I'm not saying.
Because my thing is, what kind of deity?
It doesn't negate the fact that we
Hold on 1
believe.
second, Barine. Hold on. How many errors is it? Because you say there's a whole bunch, 20, 30, 100, 1,000. It gets to the point where you start to have a God who can't even preserve his own word. He can't copyright it. You know what I'm saying? He can't do anything. He's limited in his understanding and his knowledge. And then once we get to that point, that perspective, then that means, when do you get rid of it? When do you discard it? Well, I just say this, myself and Ron are actually talking about the Canaanites, and he's bringing up his perspective as well as I'm bringing up mine. And if anybody, I would love to hear someone come up and challenge my perspective. Come on up and let's have a debate, have a conversation. Any takers? Why don't you come on and hit the link?
Okay, I guess it's over. I was taking care of some other stuff. I don't hear anything. I guess everybody gone.